But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 6, 3, 2, 9, 7.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight. Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of things happening in the world, of course. We talk about all this stuff all the damn time and sort of loosely connecting dots, okay? It's really what we do on this show, sort of squinting, like I say, squinting in the mind's eye and considering, well, what might be true. And clearly that's not science. That's never been science. That never will be science. However, did you know there's a lot of actual discoveries that happen outside of the scientific circles? For instance, just for one of the most famous discoveries outside of the scientific circles was the Dead Sea Scrolls. You guys ever heard of this? The story of the shepherd that was just kind of attending to the flock and walking through the desert hills and throwing rocks, and out of nowhere heard pottery crash through the rock. Here's pottery break, and considers the shepherd there is like, what the hell was that? And starts exploring, starts looking around like that's not something you hear in the desert. And sure enough, there was the stone that this individual threw, found a cave, and it went into the cave and actually broke a clay seal that had been there for centuries and even a couple thousand years. And wouldn't you know, it's one of the most, at least, biblically accurate findings of the past exactly a couple thousand years was the Dead Sea Scrolls. And some of the weird biblical stuff, and I mean that in the nicest way, is been known to be almost completely still intact to some of the original texts that were found in those Dead Sea Scrolls, which again, like without that, there's a lot of conjecture, a lot of, this was changed, that was changed, this type of stuff. And I'm just saying it because this is again just a shepherd kind of going about his business and turning up and finding the find of the century by casting some rocks and doing his job on a daily basis, right? And I mean, that's really the premise tonight of, well, the internet as the amateur as an investigator and being a, not just, let's say, part of what we do as, the show here, sort of squinting the mind's eye, as I say, and kind of considering wild possibilities. But there's a ton of discoveries that happen and are kind of dredged out by true amateurs. And that's the whole point of this. And wild stuff. We'll get to a bunch of these ideas and specifically some other recent news that kind of is in the same senses, same vein. Got still a little bit of a headache tonight. Sorry about last night. I've getting old is weird, man. Like so I got like a crick in my neck and it's causing a headache. Anyway, what's up, guys? I see you guys in the chat. Thanks for the sound checks, James. But okay, so the deal is this, right? This is where we begin, because this is the one that I saw that actually started this entire idea, and it's from the New York Times. And amateur historians heard tales of a lost Tudor palace. Actually, let's get the real one up here, because that's the one with the paywall. Yeah, let's not, there we go. There it is. All right, there we go. All right. So, okay. So in a small English village, a group of dedicated locals has unearthed the remains of a long vanished palace that had been home to Henry VIII's grandmother. Now, how cool is that? Okay. It was the stuff of legends. It was kind of folklore. It was stories told amongst the locals generationally. And, everybody kind of knew, at least, in hushed whispers in the corners, that there was actually something happening in their town. And had been something happening in their town that was incredibly, possibly even worldwide famous, but nobody had tracked down what this was, this particular palace. Well, wouldn't you know it? Read the article, and its link's going to be in the description down below. But it was just amateur investigators that actually started digging into this. And wouldn't you know it? Here's just straight from the top. For generations, residents of Collie Weston, a village in central England snuggled up against the River Welland, passed down stories of a grand Tudor palace, of royal processions through the valley below, of the mother of a king who had called it home. Over hundreds of years, the stories persisted, even as memory of the palace's whereabouts faded. But the lore suddenly came to life when a handful of amateur historians unearthed portions of the long-lost palace, buried under a few feet of soil. Historians from the University of York have verified their findings. Oh, well, that's nice. Quote, "We are a small village with a small group of enthusiasts, and what we've basically achieved here is nothing short of a miracle," said Chris Close, age 49, the chairman of the Collie Weston Historical and Preservation Society. Continue, quote, "It's not every day you get to dig up a part of your country's past." And that is the exact idea. Now, look, as we always say on this show, it's, it is one of those things where we talk about the mysteries of the cosmos, the mysteries of the universe. And, it's not just that, but of course, the mysteries of the past. And the mysteries of the past are clearly going to be under our feet in many cases, clearly going to be beneath waters, going to be, sometimes hidden in plain sight. What did they find recently? What was another one? What was the other one? I just said this recently as well. They found a huge cavity beneath the Giza Plateau. So there's a lot of speculation on what that might be, even some contention, whether it's real or not. So we'll see as that develops. But this is the type of stuff that, let's say historically, doesn't get a ton of credit, is the amateur actual investigator. And people that are maybe not even, let's say, amateur investigators or even enthusiasts, but they just kind of dabble in these ideas. And you never know, right? When you're talking about analysts and, human willpower and things like this and human interest, you never know. You don't have to spend your entire life behind a desk and at a university to find something amazing, because these amazing things are all around us all the damn time. All you got to do is open your eyes and look, okay? And so that's the premise tonight. So the question becomes, as we start, and there's a lot of things, like I said, the Dead Sea Scrolls are one example. This is a fantastic recent example. The amateur historians heard tales of the lost Tudor palace. They found it. They're digging this thing up. It has now become an archaeological expedition based on the very, very tenacious small group of people that decided they were going to find this thing. And guess what they did? You bet your bippy, they found this thing, an ancient Tudor palace. So the question becomes, of course, as part of this, is when you look at the larger context, is what do you expect the next, or let's say regarding amateur investigators, what do you expect to find next? What do you expect to see in some headline that's unbelievable? Like, I mean, this one's pretty unbelievable. An actual old Tudor palace that traces back to Henry VIII's grandfather. That's pretty wild. And it apparently was even well used and heavily used in the time, and a lot of things go here, right? But so the question becomes, if you can find something like this, sort of just based on old folklore, word of mouth, this type of stuff, then what kind of wild tales and wild things do we expect to find in the next, 30, 50, 100 years? And again, so not just we're talking about ground penetrating radar, we're talking about sort of drone surveys, which is how they found part of this, and we're able to kind of fill in some of the gaps. But what about, AI, kind of relooking at old stories and old data and finding things? And so the first question that's on my mind is, what kind of things do you expect will be found in the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years with just amateur stuff? And that includes, of course, as we talk about on this show all the time, who knows what kind of wild occult things will be found? Who knows what kind of, paranormal style and investigatory methods may dig up something that people never considered because it was never taken seriously? Who knows? And so that's what's on my mind tonight. That starts us, and this hat is tight, and I'm going to take my hat off. Still got a little bit of a headache, but we're going to make it through. And so that's what's going on. Now, other kinds of wild stuff, I got tons and tons of examples of this, and it's pretty crazy, some of the things that have been actually discovered by just amateurs, just regular enthusiasts out there looking at the world, and not on the interwebs, of course, out there touching grass and putting their feet on the ground and their eyeballs on the world around us. And yeah, so that's what's on my mind tonight. That's where we begin. And what do you expect will be found in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, whatever this looks like? You think that they're going to dig up the Ark of the Covenant or something? I mean, of course, that's going to be one of the super big ones. But to say that a lost Tudor palace would be dug up sounds pretty ridiculous as well. So I don't know. In those terms, no answers, just more questions. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and exactly what this looks like. And maybe you're working on a project. Maybe you needed an inspiration to begin a project of some local folklore around your town or your city or your, again, whatever your jurisdiction is. Maybe you've got some old stories that were passed on to you by relatives, and maybe, just maybe, some of those stories will turn you into a budding archaeologist or anthropologist or all of the above, and maybe, just maybe, you will find the next amazing thing. So hang tight to that, and looking for some ideas here regarding what might be out there, and maybe you guys have already found some things yourself. Volume low. Really? Is the volume low? Where's the volume low on Discord? Or where's the volume low? Let me know. What the hell's happening here? Why is the volume low? It shouldn't be. Okay, you're creeping me. Okay, anyway, here we go. Gonna get a word from our sponsor. This is brought to you by Human Inspiration. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. 1 minute. I'm going to take this hat off. It's killing my head. All right, here we go. Be right back.
In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes.
And welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Now, okay. And so the other question becomes not just what do you expect might be found, and let's say your wildest dreams, of course, regarding amateur investigations and things like this, but then also, have you heard of something in the past that was found by amateurs? Kind of a stroke of luck like that Dead Sea Scrolls. There's some other wild examples that come to mind, but this particular thing, again, which catches me when I first saw this article today. I was like, wait a minute, there's literally, this is happening all day, every day, probably in everywhere, all over the damn world. And you know what it doesn't get? It doesn't get like top headlines. You'll find sometimes you'll get some guy with a metal detector find some old, cache of Roman coins and, the New England, or sorry, not New England, Great Britain. Sorry about that, Great Britain, the United Kingdom. You'll hear stuff like this, like that kind of amateur discoveries, right? But you won't really find, we discovered this old Tudor palace, like that's not the type of stuff that really rolls out of this. But again, the Dead Sea Scrolls, it doesn't get much bigger than that in terms of, antiquity and this type of idea that discoveries are all around us all the damn time. They've been hidden specifically for that reason, maybe hidden from, let's say, individuals who would destroy them and keep them from history, kind of like the Library of Alexandria. For instance, that's a perfect example. What if they knew it was coming and somebody smuggled out a bunch of stuff and it wasn't actually destroyed as much as we thought and it's now somewhere else? This type of thing. And so I do wonder if it was maybe some of the stuff was smuggled out and hidden in particular places, and now it's out there for us to find it. And you'll hear some of the stuff in, sort of the American Southwest with, Billy the Kid, and some of these old, robbers, bank robbers and things like this, trail robbers. And they're like, there's going to be some gold out there buried by some tree that one of these outlaws of the Old West dropped down there and never came back to get because, well, they ended up in jail and then ended up dead and all kinds of other wild stuff. But it's out there. It's out there everywhere, not just a buried treasure, but the buried treasure of history itself, which to me makes you go, what? And just a quick reminder as well as we go tonight. So that's what's on my mind. And basically, look, I want to know this. What brings you here? We did this once before with the Cthulhu Investigator, the role-playing game. But what brings you here to Troubled Minds? And let's talk a little bit more about that. And what are you working on particular projects? Do you have a particular interest? What kinds of things do you expect will be found in the next, again, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, whatever it's going to be, 50 years? And maybe you're working on something yourself that you'd like to enlighten us on, maybe some folklore, local folklore or things like this that hopefully maybe you'll be inspired tonight to start digging into some of those old stories that seem like old wives' tales, as they say, but might have some truth to them. Okay, so that's where we start tonight, and that's what's going on. Just a quick reminder as well. It is the main ground rule of Troubled Minds, as we've been doing this for years and making friends and all the rest. It's critically important that we just be nice to each other. Now, specifically this, number one, be cool and chill. And this came to light because we got some comments on the YouTube, and I'm like, come on, let's be nice, right? And but there is an electric fence rule of this show that's critically important, and we're not breaking this rule. Okay, period. I don't care who you are. It is an electric fence, and you get one warning if you're new, and that's it. Okay, and that is you do not absolutely ever criticize anybody who calls into this show. Okay, not even in jest, not in the chat, not in the comments, or you are instantly banned forever and you will never be back. Okay, period. And the reason for that, there's a very good reason. Number one, manners, of course. Back to the old, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And the second thing is, as I've said before, if you think anybody would ever call into this show, if as soon as they hung up, I let the entire peanut gallery in the chat just bag on them, you think anybody would ever call into this show? Yeah, of course not. Of course not. And so it's sort of this covenant of an agreement together where we don't criticize people that have the balls to call into this show. You just don't do it. Okay. If you have beef, grief, or disbelief, I'm your huckleberry. Okay. You come at me. I'm the target. Do not ever criticize anybody who calls into this show, or you are instantly banned, and that's it. If you're new, you get one warning. Okay. That's it. That's it. And that's why, because look, like I said, you do it, sometimes it's nerve wracking. There's a lot of people listening, and this goes out to a top 2.5% podcast in the world. There's a lot of traction here that we're dealing with. And there's, people are nervous, and sometimes they're not, sometimes they are, but if they get off the damn line and then the chat starts bagging on them, they're never calling back. Okay. So just a reminder, I know you guys aren't doing it, but just as we have new people kind of come and go and new people find the podcast, I just want to make sure that those ground rules are very, very specific, and we're not crossing these lines, because that's the one way to get my goat instantly, is to do that. Okay. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Back to this amateur investigator now. So connecting eternal dots is what this is about, but this is one. Okay, this is one example. The amateur historians found this Tudor palace, which is amazing. As I said previously, the Dead Sea Scrolls were found by some Bedouin shepherd that just threw a rock and heard a heard a pottery thing break and was like, what was that? That was weird. And then sure enough, we have the biblical discovery of the century, and on and on. There's a ton of stuff here. And so if you dig, there's these articles where they're talking about these things, but notice what does not get headlines. Okay. Specifically, what's up? Pressure points used for migraine. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I got it. It's like right here, kind of localized up here on my head. Anyway, okay, so here we go. So this is from theconversation.com. And so the point of this is that this stuff is everywhere. Like I said, history is everywhere around us all the damn time. And so our job is to keep our eyes open and pay attention to these things and not miss maybe obvious details. That's the thing that's the most nutty part of all of this to me, is that a lot of these details that get missed are sometimes some of the most obvious things ever. You know, you send up like a drone to kind of do a survey, and you're like, oh yeah, look at that ridge. That actually looks like some old structure, right? But it's a ridge that everybody's been driving by for decades. It's next to a main road, and you know, this type of stuff. And so it's all out there. It's all out there. But here we go over this quick article on the conversation where we got time wise. I think everything's good. All right. So here we go. This is perfect. What images does science conjure up in your mind? You may well be visualizing a laboratory, equations scrawled on a blackboard. Figures are surrounded by glassware filled with colored liquids. Maybe someone with a slightly furrowed brow, is hunched over a microscope. But what this scene fails to convey is that science isn't about labs, equipment, or highly trained professionals. Yes, indeed. It's not even about the body of knowledge locked away in great minds or archived within textbooks and journals. Instead, it's about having a curious, creative, critical, and evidence-based mindset, which means anyone who uses the scientific method can and should consider themselves a scientist. Not even that, some keen eye and some interest. I mean, you don't have to scientifically do anything to find some hidden thing that everybody else missed, right? You just have to have some awareness. Anyway, but it says, indeed, many a discovery has been made by amateur scientists. And the thing that gets my goat, like I said, is you don't see a lot of these headlines. This happens all the time. People discovering new planets and things like this, exoplanets and new moons of Jupiter and all kinds of stuff by amateur astronomers. I mean, we've got satellites out there. We've got the James Webb Telescope. We have professionals with these massive telescopes, these building-sized telescopes, and we have amateurs still discovering things. Okay? What does that tell you? What does that tell you? It's everywhere, right? So here we go. So astronomy has a long history of encouraging input from non-professional scientists. Brother and sister team William and Caroline Herschel are among the most well-known. Shout out Herschel in the chat. I see it, buddy. Originally from Hanover, German, and trained as musicians, the siblings moved to England and eventually lived in Bath. During the 1770s, William worked as a choir master while his sister kept his house. After a day's work, William would spend late nights voraciously reading up on astronomy. An amateur with massive interest, right? And so breakfast conversations with his sister soon infected her with this passion. Together, the Herschels taught themselves to make their own telescopes. Now, look, what's stopping you from doing this? What's stopping any of us from doing this type of stuff? Just amateur interest that buds into beyond curiosity and a fire in your belly to discover something new. Because let me tell you what, there's a lot of new stuff out there, and that's exactly the point. That's what brings me back every night, to conceptually, through the mind's eye, kind of do this stuff. But I do miss the idea of maybe finding something, you know, maybe digging, going out there in the desert. I mean, think about Las Vegas specifically. You think there's not some old stagecoach robbery or something from the late 1800s or whatever that's buried gold out there, and maybe clues that'll lead you there. I don't know, the Superstition Mountains down here in Arizona, things like this. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what this looks like, but I do know that a lot of this stuff, it does exist, and it is out there. It just depends, on you, on us, on the ideas, and digging in and trying to find them, right? So again, if you read this, check it out. So there's astronomy, right? There's some other stuff. So back down to the ground, there's still plenty for amateurs to explore. Mary Anning is one of the most notable amateur earth scientists. In the early 19th century, she unearthed fabulous fossils on the beaches of Lyme Regis, Dorset. Despite her limited education, she devoured as much of the scientific literature as she could get her hands on and produced detailed technical drawings to record her finds. Unfortunately, the influential Geological Society of London did not allow female members. So be damned with them. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Look, you don't have to be on, Donald Trump's crappy golf club to be notable at anything, okay? You be notable just like you are, through, again, passion, curiosity, and a desire to find something new because it's out there, or something old let's say. So back to this. So unfortunately, blah, 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 all this stuff. Finding traces of long dead creatures gives people a taste of the thrill that any scientist feels when their data reveals something new. Since Anning trod the beaches of the Jurassic Coast, many an amateur paleontologist has followed in her path. And that's exactly the point. And we've done a little bit of this when I was young, up with Grandpa and Grandma up in the Pacific Northwest of Northern California, Southern Oregon. I've told you guys this story before. Just kind of going out and looking for arrowheads. There's a particular place up there that is a dried lake bed. It was a lake a long time ago. And it's easy to find, actual little bird point arrowheads made of obsidian that are, just napped and chipped. And, they were hunting in a lake hundreds of years ago. And if you go out there, you can find this stuff, actual archaeological finds, not, modern made and sold in those crappy stores you see on the side of the road, actual real things that were made by real natives and used to shoot at real birds back in the day. Now, how super cool is that? And I've still got it. It's around here somewhere. I've got like a little case of all the ones I found, 6 or 8 or 10 of them, whatever it was. Some of them are broken. Some of them are not. Some of them are very small. Some of them, the biggest one I found was broken in half, so I didn't find the rest of it. But anyway, it's unbelievably exciting when you kind of are delving up history, even accidentally, without even trying too hard. And that's really the point, is that this stuff is all around us all the time. And the question becomes, are you into this stuff? Maybe you have a project you're working on. Maybe you know some local folklore. Maybe you're about to dig into this, and it's something that you just needed a kick in the butt to say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to kick you in the butt and say, why don't you do that? Why don't you tell us about that local folklore that you heard about that may or may not be true, and maybe go into the local, the library, see what the old books they got there. So go into the old microfiber. And I mean, there's a ton of stuff that you can do that, maybe the trails run cold. Maybe the learned individuals of old missed some obvious details that you won't. And so that becomes, anyway. So what do you expect to find from the amateur investigator in the next, let's say 10, 20, 50 years, whatever it is, time frames? And do you think it's going to be something that changes the world here? Because, and the reason I bring it up, and the reason we're talking about it is not just because of these discoveries that are happening and don't get a ton of credit for, headline-wise and all the rest, is because the tools are changing. We're getting AI analysis. We're getting, cheaper and cheaper things that you can buy on, Amazon and places like this that are, equipment that was out of reach 20 or 30 years ago. Now you can just, spend a few $100 and just be a hobbyist, whatever. So anyway, that's where my mind's at tonight. And I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, my head's hurting just a little bit, but we're going to make it through here. I'm not too bad, but yesterday was unbearable. So sorry about that. It was just really bad. I was like, I can't do this. So I did hydrate up, got some rest, and everything was good. Everything is still good. And yeah. But that's where I'm at tonight. What do you guys know about this? And again, how deep does this get? Because look, we can go, if you want to go cosmic and weird, we can get into the Cthulhu archetype of that investigator and think about, let's say, actual cosmic mysteries that might be discovered in, let's say, ancient runes and some, let's say, undiscovered Neolithic thing. I mean, think about it this way. In UFO folklore, they say that the Roswell crash, and I think it was Rendlesham as well, had these runes carved into the craft, if we're to believe what comes from the UFO folklore. Again, I'm not the arbiter of truth there, but that's those are the things. Maybe there is some sort of trace back to some other wild stuff that ancient astronauts theorists say yes. Maybe not. But anyway, that's where my mind's at tonight. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'm going to go get an ice pack for my head or something. But here we go. That's what's on my mind. Hope you guys are doing well. Love to hear your thoughts on this. And what do we expect to find in the next 20, 50 years or whatever regarding amateur investigators? And if you're investigating something yourself, I'd love to hear what you're into. What kind of things have you always wanted to do? Is it astronomy? Is it archaeology? Is it anthropology? Is it a mix of all of the above? Or do you just want to be, I don't know, a combination of all the things? Love to hear your thoughts. What else are we missing as well regarding amateurs that found some things that didn't get a ton of headlines? Big finds, because they're out there. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. We got James Salcido coming up and your calls as well. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Tonight we're talking about the amateur investigator. Connecting eternal dots, I'm calling this. And look, there's a lot of discoveries that have been made. What am I missing? The Dead Sea Scrolls is one. Obviously, this new one that just popped, the local historians heard of a lost Tudor palace. But there's a ton more. Not just astronomy. We're talking archaeology. There's all manner of things. And, well, what are you into? Are you maybe into some amateur dabbling in these actual aspects? And what do we expect to find in the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years regarding amateur discoveries that, as I'm saying, don't get enough credit in the media, which drives me nuts because, hey, there's people out there finding amazing stuff every single day, and we need to be talking about it because when we talk about this type of stuff, we encourage each other to go look for these things ourselves. Let me tell you, there's going to be something very close to you geographically that will probably blow your mind if that secret is uncovered. Well, what's stopping you? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Hang tight, James, one sec. Main threat says, best show going. The show needs an ogre. You got one, buddy. James, you're on Troubled Minds. Oh, sorry. I'm the ogre, not you, James. See how I did that? What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? I'm mixing metaphors tonight. Don't worry about me. How you doing, my man?
I'm okay. I'm guessing the sound is okay as well.
Yep, you sound great coming through. Looking good, sounding good. Everything's great. What is your take here on anything? Take it anywhere you like, of course, but wild stuff to consider finding a lost Tudor palace to start.
Yeah, I think the key, and it's sad that it's limited to this, but I think the key is you almost have to visit sites that are into sort of just archaeology, but also just weird things around the world, weird events. The one that comes to mind right away, of course, is Ancient Origins, ancient-origins.net, I think it is. There's a lot of, I can't keep up with all their stuff they put out all the time, but it seems like between your shows and then just articles I've seen, they do it. When someone finds something like that, they will usually. It seems like they'll put an article about, or at least have it mentioned in the article that someone, just looking around for things or on accident found, like that the Dead Sea Scrolls that you talked about earlier. They'll sort of talk about how the items were found in their articles. So I do like that about them. I'm guessing there's other similar sites. I don't know of any for sure.
Yeah, Ancient Origins is one of the best. I got an example here. This is from not recently, but Ancient Mariners, Transoceanic Voyages Before the Europeans. So I'll see if I can dig something up from here. But it's got all kinds of stuff: history, archaeology, science and space, evolution of human origins, mysterious phenomena. They're all over the damn place, and amazing stuff. We source them quite a lot for the great work they're doing. And you're right, they do. This is where some of that stuff kind of comes to mind for me, where I recognize that there's something happening where a lot of this stuff doesn't get published as, look at all the good work amateurs are doing in this regard, but they do. They cite this quite a lot because a lot of the new discoveries are coming through them because they're reporting it, they're on top of it, and they do tell us where this stuff comes from, which is incredible. And it's not always, again, anthropologists and archaeologists and, paid astronomers and whatnot, because let me tell you what, those individuals that are in academia and whatever else will say they're underfunded and they could find a ton more stuff if they had a ton more money. Okay, they'd hire more people, but also, come on, let's be real about the ton more money in organizations that really aren't as efficient as they should be. But I digress on that. But yeah, amazing stuff. Great point on the Ancient Origins site and the Dead Sea Scrolls and all the rest. What else you got? Go ahead.
Yeah, and this is making me think of something I want to do. I'm sort of waiting for my town that I live in. They're working through getting all their newspaper archives digitized, and I'm really looking forward to whenever they have like the website up for that, because I'm going to go through that because I can't easily do it so much in person because it's newspapers and it's all tiny print and I'm legally blind, and so I gotta kind of wait a little while until that gets put up online. But I really want to do a look into just all kinds of all the things that we're sort of into here in my own research and things, just anomalous events UFO sightings, ghosts, whatever. I'd love to do like a project about that and start putting out maybe articles or whatever, and get some interest in the area from other people that are here, and see where that goes. So that's kind of something that I have in my mind for a long-term project that I'd like to do.
Yeah, same here with Vegas. I mean, tons and tons of history here that, goes back hundreds of years. And the part of that Wild West I was talking about, and you bet your bippy there's going to be some buried treasure out there that nobody's found, including, of course, out here outside of Vegas, they call, was the M Cave or something, this one explorer. I'll see if I can find the story, but this one guy that, I'll find it before I butcher it, but pretty wacky stuff out here. Not to mention Area 51, and of course very close enough to Roswell, day and a half drive or something. Lots of weird stuff. A day from Salt Lake City. There's a lot of really strange trails between here and there, of course, regarding Vegas. But I'm with you there. I'd love to be able to kind of delve into this and start some amateur archaeologist type stuff, because when you start to do this, you meet people, and when you meet people, you end up learning from, maybe you meet somebody a little bit older than yourself, and you start learning about what their parents or grandparents told them, type of thing, and preserving some of this actual information. Daryl, if you can mute up, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Go ahead. What else you got, James? But yeah, I mean, this is the type of stuff I think we should be trying to inspire us to do, which really should be one of the backbones of Troubled Minds, and I should be talking about this quite a bit more than I do. But here we are making up for it. Go ahead. What else you got?
Oh, I mean, that's other thing too, though. I mean, most people in their minds, at the very least, they already have so much to do, and I think it just takes sort of focus and reminding yourself about whatever it is you want to do, and sort of, maybe, I don't know. I think that's just part of the balancing act of of life, figuring out where you can spend time here, and maybe don't need to spend so much time there. It's definitely not easy. But yeah, so that, yeah, there's already a book that came out about my town, just in terms of ghost stories and stuff. But I I really want to dig into the whole anomalous, just everything, strange. And I think starting with newspapers, I think will be a good place to start, and then I can maybe start putting out some things locally, and hopefully get some interest that way. So, but I think that's all I have for now. But I'll just stick around and um, talk more later whenever there's time and whenever I have anything.
Okay, appreciate it very much. You were the best, James. Thank you. You know him, you love him. That's James Salcedo of course, Salcedo Paranormal. He's got a podcast called and a radio show called Salcedo Paranormal. As I said, SALSIDO space paranormal. Do search it. Go check it out, or you could find that down below, troubledminds.org/friends, and go give him a follow on all the places. It's free. It's free. Like 90% of the stuff he does is free. He does publish some books, so if you want to spend a little bit of cash, I would appreciate that, and so would he. Go check out some of the books James is publishing, and he's got some new stuff on the way as well, so we'll let you know when that hits. But let's support our friends. Like I always say, James has been a very, very big part of this show, the glue, as I call him, and the paranormal expert and all the rest. And he is doing that. He's starting this with exactly like he's describing, through his podcast, and chronicling many, many, many different folklore type apparitions and things like this that we've talked about on this show. But he's done so many more, again, because he's really combing the internet for true paranormal stories, and then book reviews and all kinds of stuff. And he's got some. You want to drop the deets on a couple books you got coming up that you're going to review over there real quick before we go to Daryl?
Oh, just for anyone who has or hasn't heard of John Keel, I'm going to be doing a whole series on at least one or two of his books, maybe more. We'll see. And then after that, some Jacques Vallée books as well. I'm going to review those. So just because it's a huge gap in my knowledge of the paranormal and just anomalous events, and I'm finally making up for that through various sources, and yeah, I'm excited to share what I'm finding and get some discussion going around that as well.
Amen. Well said. So got some Jacques Vallée and some Keel coming up from James. Is coming up very soon. I'm not sure how soon, but he's going to be doing this stuff as part of the book review process. So do check it out again. And this is why we do this, because he is definitely chronicling a ton of the paranormal stuff, and now branching out into some of the UFO things and how all this really fits together. And I think there's some correlation and connections here that
are not always so clear, but amazing stuff. Appreciate it very much, James. One more time, Salcedo Paranormal, link's going to be down below, troubledminds.org/friends. Follow James here. But we're talking amateur historians. And again, they found this lost Tudor palace, which is incredible, which had been folklore for a long time in their particular little town called Small English Village. What's it called? Oh boy, Collie Weston. Anybody ever heard of it? I've never been there. I'm sure it's a lovely place. But supposedly, the rumor mill had been going for generations about how there was a lost Tudor palace in town. And, well, some amateur enthusiasts got together. They did a drone survey, did some ground penetrating radar, raised some funds because now once they sort of galvanized the effort, the town was interested. People were wanting to donate to the cause. And then look what happens. You just kind of galvanize interest and the things get found. And they found this thing. And now they're doing an actual archaeological dig and pulling up a relic from the past, which is pretty amazing. What do you think regarding this? Is this something you guys are interested in? What do you think we're going to find? And is it in the hands of the actual the amateurs, as I say? Because I think, look, we've talked about this in regard to disclosure as well. Is that you sit around and you wait for the government to tell you stuff, or funded institutions, they're going to just bitch and moan that they don't have enough money. Okay, well, there's a lot of us that sometimes maybe some of us have a little bit more time than we have money. We have looking for another hobby, another part-time hobby. This would be perfect for the exactly that type of thing. And don't forget, it doesn't matter where you live. If you're like, I live somewhere boring, no BS. Go look into the local folklore in the library and stuff, and go ask some of the folks that have worked there, and they'll tell you that the place you live is probably not as boring as you think. In any case, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. What are some of the things we're missing regarding amateur finds of amazing archaeological or amazing astronomical things? And how into this are you? Is this a little too tame for troubled minds? You tell me. Let's go to Daryl in New York. What's up, my friend? How are you doing tonight? Welcome to the show. Go right ahead. Good evening. Good evening. Hello, hello.
Trying to find the unmute button. There we go.
There you go. Now we're talking. Welcome to the joint. How are you tonight? And what's on your mind? Go ahead.
I'm good. Well, you were asking us what we would be interested in, or what subjects, etc. And you've had a show about this before. It's about these unidentified sky electronic looking tube rods. Okay. They're these things that I've caught in the New York City skyline. I have a lot of pictures of them. And I even found something somewhere about a fellow that was researching them. He didn't even reply to me on Facebook. Maybe he didn't read his Facebook email. But you had been discussing this about do you remember the show you had? It was about some ancient culture that saw these crazy things in the sky and they looked like rods. And you said, can you believe that? I'm like, yeah, I can believe it because I've seen them.
I remember the call, but I can't remember what the show was because we mix ideas so much. I can't remember exactly what the premise was, but I do remember you talking about that, and we've discussed this before. But I'm with you. Sort of these rods in the sky, they look like those pool noodles, right? Kind of like that, except they're plasma-esque, something to that effect, right?
Like they're different shapes and colors. Some look like ladders. I mean, I just tried to pull up images on Google, and boy, you got so many different images, definitely different than the ones I took. Mine looked like fluorescent lights that were like tube-like or ladder-like, and one looked like a huge red one, separated by blank spaces that was stuck into the World Trade Center, which was kind of wild. I mean, I've seen them moving even, so I've have them on film. I took pictures of them. Why not? I even called the police once when I saw one of them approaching the city, and they responded to it. Actually, they said, "Well, we're going to come to your house to see if we could see it." Just don't come to my house. Just look up. I don't even see it from my house.
They're like, we're going to come get you because you're crazy. You're like, no, look up in the sky.
No, you don't have to come to in fact, I'm not even looking. I'm looking at a webcam. You can't see it from my house. You can see it from the webcam, but just look up. It's in the sky. It's visible. It's right between New Jersey and Manhattan. So I would really love to find out finally what the heck those were. Where are they? I don't see them anymore. It was like a certain year that they were out constantly, like one year in like 2014ish, and that's also a year that there were these planets that you could see, these huge, like it was almost like you could see the reflection of a planet in the skyline, but you weren't looking at the planet. It's hard to describe. I can show you a picture of it.
Yeah,
And like, what are we looking at? Like, what is that? Like, how can we see a reflection of a planet?
Yeah, I can't remember
that was
the researcher. There's a particular researcher that was doing exactly this stuff. Kelly might remember, but he's brought this up. Yeah, he's brought this up before as well. Yeah, I don't know regarding that those sort of plasma things in the sky there. I think something about Jupiter or something or other. Anyway, so okay, so that's one thing. So have you dug into that sort of maybe in your jurisdiction there? You got like. I'm sure you got old libraries or something. Have you ever tried kind of looking and maybe going and poking around and asking some of these questions locally? Because I think that would be fascinating as hell. New York is incredibly old, and you're in Ghostbusters territory, right?
Possible. When I first saw these things, I just assumed that anyone that was having any kind of paranormal podcast would have some answers, but no, nobody did.
Yeah, well, that's the point.
I mean, I asked David Scott, I asked Richard Giordano, Gigi, everybody that was having a podcast, Can you explain what these things are? What am I looking at? What is this stuff? And I was getting all kinds of answers. Oh, that's just an airplane. I'm like, no, it's not. I think we have a no-fly zone, by the way, also over Manhattan, so I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of airplanes, that's nothing, that's just, the thing sticking into the World Trade Center. I mean, I don't have any explanation, and I never got one. I didn't look in the right places, I suppose. So, I guess I'm just going to reach out to this community and see if anybody has any ideas for me.
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty sure if you guys have any ideas on that, drop it in the Discord, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, send me an email. I can pass it on to Daryl, troubledmindsradio@gmail.
Yeah,
And
love to know.
definitely. So
I'll stick some pictures in the chat so people can refer to them and see if they look familiar.
Sweet. I'd love to see that. So regarding that, can you remember anything semi-recently, like in the last 100 years, that was just some incredible, amazing discovery that was unearthed by an amateur? Anything come to mind that kind of makes you go, yeah, you know what, this stuff is happening all the time? Because it seems to me, and if you can't think of anything directly, doesn't it seem that like this type of stuff gets suppressed, almost as if they're trying to bottleneck it by, the University of such and such did this discovery of such and such and such and such. Like it's always sort of bottlenecking the funding and trying to, rope money back to these institutions. When the truth is, if we all had metal detectors and spent our time out there walking while we're exercising, Lord knows what we would find, right?
I actually bought some metal detectors. I felt very silly using them. I used them once with a friend of mine and felt very foolish, and I never used them again. But another friend of mine said he found tons of gold using those things. But I remember hearing something about somebody finding in America, in their backyard, a cache of these old, like Roman coins. Like, I don't know, maybe they were over 2,000 years old. And how are they how did they wind up in his backyard? Like, how did they get there? They were just buried or something. And if they were buried, how long were they buried for? And like, how did they get here? Like, were they buried for like 2,000 years or 100 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I thought that was very, very cool. And the funny thing is, coins of that stature, as far as the numismatic society goes, aren't worth that much. You're better off with an Indian head penny, a 1909 penny or a mercury dime would have been more valuable than a 2,000-year-old, coin from Rome.
Yeah, but still, in terms of value, I'd rather have the thing that's like super old and super rare. Even if you can't cash it in for a Rolls Royce or something, it's just the cool factor is so much nicer than something a little more modern and rare.
I just found that remarkable, really remarkable. And I just think a lot of stuff that all this underground city stuff, I just think is amazing. And I wonder how long ago did we use the underground part, and when did they seal it up? And who sealed it up? Why'd they seal it up? Was there a point where we were using the underground as much as above ground? Maybe there was a transitional period where we came out from underground. We don't know anything, but why were so many underground cities built? That kind of stuff. I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah, I want to take a metal detector in an underground city. Yeah, let's do that.
Oh my God, hell yeah!
How sweet would that be, right? And so you know what you don't see? You don't see them doing that on Josh Gates or whatever these shows are, right? They're not like, hey, let's go into Darren QU and we'll take some metal detectors and see what we find, right? Well, why? Well, I mean, that seems like one of the most obvious things you would do because you're going to find artifacts in the bottom of those caves, probably.
Yeah,
that'd be incredible.
Definitely. Yeah, maybe I'll have to take a trip with those metal detectors somewhere where no one will see me, but somewhere cool, Mexico.
It's definitely the old man vibe, right? The old man with the weird hat, like you can imagine, right? Like you can imagine G.R.R. Martin from the guy that wrote Game of Thrones, like that guy doing like a metal detector. Right?
Totally.
Yeah, but
I mean, you know what you could do? You could disguise yourself and wear some kind of costumes, those noses with the glasses or something, something like that would make you very, unrecognizable, but like a costume, so nobody would know it was you. Nobody would probably care.
Now you're talking. Why don't you dress up like Bigfoot? Bigfoot with a metal detector?
There you go. Nobody would notice.
Yeah, nobody notice you. Do it when it's cold, so there's a reason to be wearing the Bigfoot suit. When the cops come, you're like, hey, it's cold out here. I need to cover up. Come on. It's fine. It's fine.
Gold.
Exactly. Here's another thing, too.
I wonder,
if
they had metal detectors back when they were doing the gold rush, would they have found more gold, Maybe we should go revisit some of the, old gold mining towns. See if we can pick up some leftovers. Who knows? But my friend found so much gold. I think he could retire for the rest of his life. I'm not going to mention a name, but
for real,
yeah, yep. He found a lot of gold.
Where at?
Not going to even say. I can't say. Can't talk about it.
Oh, come on. All right.
I'll tell you in private.
Tell me.
He said he could find more. He could find more gold. He could find more gold in a Home Depot parking lot than you could in a in like the Grand Canyon or something like that, or wherever. I mean, he just goes around with those metal detectors and finds gold.
Fair enough.
Amazing.
Fair enough.
And sometimes it could be like, raw gold, or sometimes he finds jewelry, He'll find somebody loses a gold ring or a gold necklace or whatever,
Yeah, for sure.
I once had a client of mine that went to Mexico, to Cancun. He went scuba diving off of the Hyatt Regency at the tip of Cancun, which is like the greatest reef to go to, but whatever. You know what he found? He found something off of a Spanish galleon ship. It was like another 2,000-year-old piece of gold, and it was a gold necklace, but it was so old and so unusual. That thing must have definitely paid for his trip at minimum,
Wow,
that was pretty cool.
That's wild. Yeah. Speaking of which, this thing just hit to the news. It's funny we're talking about this, and I read this 4 days ago when this hit from the BBC. Colombia begins exploring what they're calling the Holy Grail of shipwrecks. What is it? Supposedly $20 billion in treasure is on this thing.
Oh,
exactly, yeah. Exactly. And of course,
think about it.
Yes,
yeah,
Spain's,
I mean, there's a lot of shipwrecks. Sure.
Yep.
Yep, and this is
Where
supposedly
is it?
D1. So, okay, here you go. So the Colombian government has started exploring a sunken 18th century Spanish galleon dubbed the Holy Grail of Shipwrecks. The South American nation has also declared a protected archaeological area, of course they have because it's theirs, right, around the San Jose galleon, which was sunk by the British Royal Navy in 1708 in the Caribbean Sea. The ship, whose ownership remains contested, because that's $20 billion, yo, was carrying one of the largest hauls of valuables ever lost at sea when it was attacked just outside the Colombian city of Cartagena. Yeah, I mean, $20 billion, Daryl. And this stuff is out there, guys. This stuff is out there. And this one in particular is wild. But so they haven't actually started excavating yet. They're kind of doing, the setting the submarines down and getting pictures and video and stuff. And then they're going to, everybody's going to sue each other and they might go to war over this again. Who knows? Who knows? Because that's a lot of money.
Well, they better find it first. That stuff spreads after all these years. It could be like spread over God knows how many miles and miles and miles of sea and buried under so much sand. They're going to need like some serious technology to locate it, not like LiDAR or something like that.
Yeah, and exactly how much has it spread? How many miles around now? I mean, how much is buried in the dirt down there? The actual sand. It's gonna be a wild thing. So keep an eye on this one, guys. This just hit. This literally just hit 4 days ago. So the first phase is they're surveying the items, is what they're calling this. I got some pictures here. I'll show them the thing. But yeah.
That sounds cool. Well, that necklace that fellow found was miles away from the shipwreck that they assumed it came from. It was much closer to shore, and it was the only item he found. So it was like way, way, way far from where the shipwreck. So this stuff will float away, and some lucky guy, might be just walking down the beach and find it.
Yeah, you never know.
So you never know.
Which is why you should keep your eyes open. Let me know if you get back into the metal detecting. I'm very curious about that. I may get myself an old man hat and go do something similar out here in the desert, because why the hell not, right?
I'm so tempted to use it. I should just. What do I care? Maybe I could, if I could talk somebody into going with me. Because the thing is, I'm afraid, if somebody sees me metal detecting and I'm, going to be collecting all this stuff, my luck, I'd get mugged after I collect all my booty,
Yeah.
It could happen.
Like the perfect mugging suspect. You're like, hey, I wonder if she found any gold today. Let's go find out.
Yeah, right? What'd you find? What'd you find with that metal detector, girl? What are you doing with that? Yeah, that's what I felt so conspicuous, I felt very, very, I don't know. I felt very, like, kind of cheap, like, looking for like, precious metals with a metal detector in the middle of Manhattan. I don't know. I felt very silly. Actually, I went by Chelsea, the Chelsea Piers on the river, but there were plenty of people to watch us, and we just didn't find anything. We were looking on like landfilled grass, so everything's built on landfill. I don't, if anything valuable we'd find there, it would have been left recently, or lost recently, if anything.
Still, though, just because most of it's been found doesn't mean all of it's been found. Like I said, New York is very old, and there's a rich history there of all manner of big armies moving things all over the place. So who knows what's out there? And that's the best part. You never know. You never know.
You never know. Yeah. So I'll let you know. Anyway, if you ever want to take a trip, yeah, Vegas sounds like a good place to start looking for gold. I heard some guy buried all his silver and gold, and then got murdered out there. Did you ever hear that story?
Nope, but I'm sure it's a tale as old as time, and it probably happens quite often. That's why it's like, well, that's what they say about when they find an old stash from the ancient Roman days. They're like, yep, some guy thought he was smart, he buried it here and then took off and never came back for it. That's the way the world works.
I forgot what tree it was under, right?
Exactly right. Yeah, amazing stuff. Let me know if you start doing that, because I'm curious. I may get one as well. And let's be old people wearing a weird hat together. It'll be sweet.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I was just looking. Okay, you got it.
Okay. What else you got? Go ahead.
I just saw this really funny joke about these UFOs were flying over this group of women, and they kept like every time they flew over the woman, they would like go, as fast as possible away from them. But if they flew over like men, they would hang around. So they were actually they were UFO. Oh shoot, I'm gonna screw this up.
That's okay. I got you, Daryl.
Wait a minute.
Fair enough.
It was a feminist headline that said they were object defying women instead of okay. Object defying women.
Damn it, Daryl. We'll get it right next time. You slaughter 90.5 out of 10, so you're due one to go. Then always a pleasure. Appreciate the call. Thanks for the joke, and you're the best. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Have a great night. Thanks for asking. Bye.
Daryl in New York, you love her, been such a good friend for a long time with all the amazing jokes and ideas. And yeah, look, this is the whole point of talking to people and meeting people and talking about wild ideas, because you never know what people have seen and you never know what people have heard. And especially when we're talking about sort of the archaeological aspect of this, the folklore aspect of this, and meaning folklore doesn't have to be, ghosts and goblins. Folklore could be, rumor had it that a particular, robbery happened out here and somebody buried some gold in the such and such. This is the type of folklore that's all over the country, this country, and surely every country out there in the world, because there's antiquity everywhere. I mean, time isn't one of those things that's just happening here. It's happened everywhere. So yeah, I don't know. What does it look like in the largest sense? And we're talking the amateur investigator tonight. Has anybody out there done any actual metal detecting? Do you have the weird old man hat to kind of hide your identity when you're out there doing it because that's embarrassing? Or have you? Are you one of the guys who's just doing it, not caring, and got tons of gold like Daryl's friend there? Yeah. Anyway, so wild things again. So we started with this tonight, and just to reframe real quick, we'll take a break and then come back. Love to hear your thoughts on this. So amateur historians heard tales of a lost Tudor palace, and then they dug it up. And this is just from the last couple of days. This hit, and then of course there's the conversation here talking about not just astronomy type stuff, but of course archaeological finds, talking about paleontology. I mean, it's all out there. It doesn't have to be gold coins. You might be able to find some ancient dinosaur that's never been discovered before, and this stuff's beneath our feet all over the place, and even in some cases like sticking out of the ground and able to be seen. And that's the wild part, is that like maybe we walk by this stuff every single day and nobody notices because nobody stops to like kind of poke at it, take a look at it, kind of, maybe pop it out of the dirt or whatever. Yeah, look, there you go. Fred says, I look for meteorites. Yeah, there we go. And that's the stuff you'll find. Yeah, wild stuff. What's up? Don says, like, quit metal detecting as it attracts too many old men. Yeah, there it is, right? Well said. With the weird hats, right? They got to be. If you're metal detected, you have to be wearing the weird hat. It's like part of the uniform. I swear. I mean, to stop from getting sunburned, of course, but it's also probably part of the uniform. But anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. Again, the amateur investigator. What do you know of that was discovered by amateurs that is doesn't get enough credit? And it seems to me that there's a lot of this happening, and that's why it's important to talk about this. It is very Indiana Jones-esque, but of course we all have a little bit of that in our heart for sure. But the beautiful part about it is this stuff is all around us, no matter where you live. So if you think you live in a boring place, I would challenge you to maybe check into local folklore and some of these stories, and maybe the place you live that you think is boring isn't quite as boring as you ever considered. Love to hear your thoughts on this. The amateur investigator, connecting eternal dots, not just what we do here, sort of interweb and sort of searching consciousness and wild ideas, but don't forget there's also discoveries to be made beneath our feet. Is anybody into this? Is anybody going to be into this? What do you know about this, and what wild stories am I missing? 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. We got AI Dolly coming up for you country music fans. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, and tonight we're wearing our weird old man hats as we dream about prospecting the desert sands with a metal detector. Doing a little bit of country night tonight. Yes, that was a Dolly ripoff by AI. Pretty good, I thought. I don't know, I'm not really a big country music fan, but when I hear one that's convincing, made by the AI, I'm in. Why not? So that's definitely a Dolly sort of emulation. I didn't even ask it to do that. It just kind of did it. And I was like, yeah, I recognize Dolly, even if it's a robot. That's definitely Dolly Parton. I mean, not really, but you know what I mean. But anyway, so what do you think about the not just the country music tonight, but the theme? We're talking the amateur investigator, of course, and connecting these eternal dots. And what does it look like in the larger sense? And what do we expect to find as amateurs together, collaborating not just with ideas, but collaborating with, let's say, well, whatever comes out of the desert sands next. I'm tinfoil hats all around. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I don't know. And that becomes the problematic thing here because, like I said, one of the major finds archaeologically of the past century was the Dead Sea Scrolls. And it was found by accident, literally by accident. And it brings to mind another thing, not just with, we talk about UFOs and consciousness studies and all the rest of this stuff. And there's a ton of information out there. Let's say Robert Monroe, the Monroe Institute, who's still teaching, the great Robert Monroe has passed on now, but they're still teaching a lot of the information that he discovered as he was doing his out-of-body experiences. And this is the type of knowledge, even though it's weird, off the beaten path, it is, strange to many of the normies out there that look at you like you're crazy when you consider this stuff might be real. And not even declaring it's real, just considering that it might be real. People think you're nuts. And so the question becomes, I don't know, this knowledge certainly needs to survive. And is it up to us to kind of keep it? I think exactly the point. At least it did sound like her. Yes, indeed. Okay, so a few things here. Now, not just this, we started here with this, amateur historians heard tales of the lost Tudor palace, and then they dug it up. And then, of course, there's more. There's, again, the dinosaurs they were finding on the beach. There's all manner of things. And who brought this up? Let's see. By the way, there are some articles regarding this where they talk about this, sort of the possibilities. Will the next great discovery be made by amateurs? Yeah, I think probably. And that's really the idea here. So there are more options than ever to get involved, and your input can help solve big problems in science. And this is going back to 2017. And like I said, isn't it strange that because of the equipment getting cheaper, more handheld, more accessible, all the things, we're able to collaborate on the internet, make our own databases easily with websites and things like this, that it still seems like a lot of the amateur discoveries don't get a ton of press, which is unfortunate. But it brought to mind, and I was putting this show together, and I stumbled across this Twitter X post. And it was regarding, I dropped it in the chat just before we started there. You guys have been watching the Discord, but it was regarding Grant Cameron. Did you guys see this? What is it? So Grant Cameron, as you know, is he's a UFO investigator, and take it or leave it. Like I said, regarding whether you think what he does is real or not, but he's definitely been doing investigations for 50 years now. Okay, and whether you think his stuff is legit or not, or somewhere in between, he does have a ton of data that probably needs to be saved for posterity, for individuals to parse through. Maybe there's stuff there that he missed, or something he discovered, 30 years ago, completely forgot about, and needs to be revisited. I mean, that's the nature of actual discovery. There's also the nature of rediscovery as part of this. But he put out, supposedly, we haven't confirmed this yet, but James and I did check it out before we started the show tonight, but it seems like he's releasing 50 years of his archives, just putting it all out there and saying, all right, here it is, guys, go get it. And whatever he has is out there for posterity now. And I'll dig into this, and hopefully you guys can also as well. But this is the type of stuff that when we talk about saving wisdom, shout out Brian Romilly over there on Twitter X, this type of stuff, we need to actually be saving these investigators, their knowledge, their databases, everybody, we're all getting old. And so none of us are going to be here forever, unless you're the AI, of course, right? The temporal business there. But I mean, if he's going to release this stuff, I encourage the Skinwalker Ranch guys to release this stuff, which, is one of my biggest beefs regarding Skinwalker Ranch. And that whole bit is that they say they have a ton of data, and they're kind of just hoarding it. It's like, come on now, is there something weird happening there, or is there not? Surely you have a ton of data at this point. You've been there years, got all kinds of high-tech stuff and cameras and the show. I stopped watching the show because they just kept firing rockets and going, oh, spooky stuff is happening. The guy, what's his name? Travis Taylor. Well, spooky stuff is happening. I can't even do the damn accent. But, I mean, Anyway, point being is that there's a ton of this information that we can't let die. We got to find this stuff. We got to dig it up. We got to, in a world where the internet is collapsing and a lot of this information is becoming harder and harder to find. Well, let's do our part is really the point. So what are we missing regarding actual discoveries? And the reason I bring up Grant Cameron, by the way, is because there's a whole bunch more regarding him. And specifically, he's an amateur. Like, he was never trained in ufology. He never had an advanced degree. And he's ridiculed quite a lot by mainstream academics, as you would expect. Okay, when you get into this stuff, the ridicule kind of comes with it. But you got to think of it in terms of, let's say, what is it? The like metal detecting. You put on the goofy hat and you get out there in the sun, and people are going to go, yeah, look at the old guy metal detecting, right? But you know what, that old guy probably has a bunch of the gold smuggled away. So, and in this case, the data that Grant Cameron has is gold. It's UFO gold, and maybe there's some actual information there that he's missed that is missing puzzle pieces to something relevant today. Who really knows? And without everybody taking a look at it, how would we know? And that becomes the question here. I'd love to hear your thoughts tonight, guys. And I do need a little help because I do have a slight headache as well. So if you want to be part of the show, love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Get in here. If we don't get calls, I'll end this at the top of the hour because, like I said, I am day 2 of this and just trying to recover, but I'm not going to stick my neck out too far. We'll just do what we do. But love to hear your thoughts. Got anything on this, James, regarding any of the rest? Anything I said there with Grant Cameron, or sort of these ideas of keeping these ideas of research alive?
Yeah, there are definitely a couple of different places that have physical archives of investigators, but again, like UFO investigators, but you don't hear a ton about them, and they're only starting, I think, in 1 or 2 cases to be digitized. And so I think that process, I think people are starting to realize that in more recent years, but it's just such a process. Again, even just to do that takes so much time and resources, I imagine. And I'm glad that, I hope that everything goes well with this, with this project with Grant Cameron as well, because yeah, he is one of those names I've heard over the last several years, and I didn't even know he went that far back. That's 50 years. Is a lot of, I mean, like you said, regardless of the person that does the research, that's still a ton of research. That's still a ton of information that you could still look through and detach from whatever you think or don't think about the person, that you might find useful and interesting things there in all that. So I think it's definitely good that I hope that it's working, that it does go forward. And I don't know what's exactly is going on with the link and everything. Maybe it's just some minor technical issue, hopefully. But yeah, I think it's a good thing, and I hope that that happens more and more. So yeah, and I don't know. I think that's something I'm going to be looking into, watching for that to work and see what is in there, and then other archives similar to that as well as time goes on.
Yeah, well, this would be the holy grail, is to take all of this stuff and be able to sort of digitize it all and put it in one space. I know there are people doing this out there. What the Expanding Frontiers is, Erica Lukes. She's doing this as well. She's been a UFO archiver for a very long time, so she's one of the good ones who's kind of more boots on the ground, trying to get things done instead of kind of the opposite of us, or let's say, I'll just speak for myself, the opposite of me, where I'm like, forget all that. Let's just dream of what might be. She's kind of the opposite, and like, okay, well, let's see where all this stuff came from. And she's kind of dredging up old publications. She's even getting some stuff from libraries, kind of like Brian Romilly does. She's getting people that respect her in the UFO field, and they're donating sort of their collections to her, so she can keep them all in one place. And she's doing a hell of a job with all that. And that's exactly what we need. This stuff needs to be at some point digitized and put online. And like I said, maybe, just maybe, when you put all the data together with the sort of AI analysis, maybe there is something there that is the missing link in terms of what the phenomenon itself, big P phenomenon, actually is. Or maybe it kind of sniffs it out and says, oh, this is a bunch of charlatans or whatever. Again, I'm not making a claim either way. I'm just saying that who knows what kind of big data can kind of sniff out all this information. But without all the information together, we won't find jack, and that's the unfortunate part. But yeah, this is from MUFOG, mufog.co.uk. Recently, Grant Cameron, UFO researcher, has put the bulk of his files online. This is says, for all my friends who have followed me for years, I'm announcing that all my files of 50 years of research are now online. I am 75% through 12 boxes of files, and none of the files has any deletions. There are 31 gigabytes of data online now, and I may also add audio of interviews I did years ago. Why not, right? Again, I think if you unhitch your bias wagon and kind of delve into this, whether you believe in UFOs or not, there's probably going to be something incredibly valuable there. So, yeah, wild stuff. We got Kelly on the line. Go to him in a second. Anything to add to that, James, before we go to Kelly?
I hope he does do the audio stuff as well. That'd be amazing, because I know he had his own show I think he had his own show for a little while. I'm not sure if he still does. On some online radio network for a while. I think it was KGRA back when it was KGRA. But because now it's not that anymore, I don't think. Unless it is, and I'm forgetting. But yeah, so I hope he does that though, and puts up interviews and all those kinds of things. And yeah, that's sort of what I try to do also with what I do with my show, with the stories I find. And I have a volunteer now that also helps find stories, and that's what we try to do, is find these and save them and share them. Because when they're put on these websites that are just sort of forums, yes, they're there, but you have to go look for them. So, but I think it's fun, and I think it's important as well. So, anyway, just wanted, because I think that's a good thing to do once you figure out that can be done. I think anyone can do it. I think it just takes time, and you have to find what you're interested in and then go for it.
Yeah, exactly. And the forums too, like it's there until the forum dies, and then once the forum dies, only if the Internet Archive has it. I mean, this is what we're dealing with, and it's unfortunate that we're sort of looking at the Orwellian redaction of history in real time. And we thought the Internet would be here forever. What was it, 1990-ish, when the Internet started to become a thing for everybody, and now we're just a mere 30 years later, and suddenly the Internet is retracting at an incredible pace. So. Yeah, we need to find a way to save this information, because it is incredibly important to the long term of humanity. Otherwise, we're just losing a generation of data, which is just grotesque to even consider. 1 minute, I'm going to get another word from our sponsor, which of course is Jack in Oregon. 1 stoic minute. We'll be right back. We got Kelly in Colorado coming up. Be patient, my friend. 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. Thank you, Jack in Oregon, for sponsoring the show. We're talking the amateur investigator tonight, connecting eternal dots. Now, what does this mean? I don't know. Of course, it just depends on your interest level. Some people may be astronomers at heart. Some people may be archaeologists at heart. Some people may be dreamers at heart. But I think there's a place for all of us in the larger investigation that is life. And that's exactly the point of doing this and talking about this. And hopefully we can inspire you to get off your butt and go grab that metal detector, or go to the local library and kind of start sniffing out some of the local folklore. And maybe, just maybe, you're going to discover something you never dreamed was possible. And without the idea, without the twinkle in your mind, it's not going to happen. So go get it. Go get it, guys. I would appreciate it very much. Let's inspire each other to do some things that we never considered we might be able to do, even together, let alone by ourselves. So go get it. Go get it. And report back if you find anything at all. Local folklore is incredible. Whatever it is, whatever you got, I'd love to hear these stories. We'll circle back at some point if you guys are able to dig up some of this stuff. And 702-957-1037. Is it possible to connect these eternal dots
thoughts through the amateur investigation process. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. Thanks for being patient, my man. You are on Troubled Minds. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
Good evening, Michael. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you? Welcome to the joint.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Hope your headaches get better there.
Thank you. I appreciate the help. Yeah, so funny enough, it's kind of related to I think a sciatic thing. I got a back tweak, and so it's the whole yeah. So as I'm stretching, it's kind of getting better, but I think it's going to be a few day thing before it works itself out. But it is better today than it was yesterday. So thank you for that. But that's I think that's what's happening. But anyway, go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man, I feel you on that one. I have the same issue from when I was in the Navy, but yeah, man, this is this type of, I would call young archaeology, or I wouldn't say new archaeology. These people are like, some of these people that find some of this stuff, it could be by accident, or it could even be where they're, trying to be like treasure hunters, or even, young archaeology, or one that's not connected to, let's say, academia. You know what I mean? Because it seems to tend to, once you go academia wise, you let those guys think that they can just come in and start, yes, they might have a little bit more different techniques, want to go thorough, more, tooth and comb, I would probably say. But some of these people that find this stuff, it's pretty amazing, some of the stuff they do find. Like that, I posted that one was he was a, this would actually kind of make sense. He was a kid out of Canada, a young teenage kid, and he was into the Mayan kingdom and stuff like that, with all the Mesoamerica stuff like that. And he knows that, by reading a lot of those about Mesoamerica, they were all into like times, in like future time, past time, keeping the calendars, dates, and looking through a lot of their stuff was through star maps, looking at the stars, just like Egypt, all these ancient places, they do, they tracked all this stuff through stars. So he looked through some ancient star maps and found and where a whole city would be, a Mayan city. He found it, so they shot LiDAR through there, and sure enough, they found, what he was, that the city, where the city would be through the stars. Because the other ancient cities that they were having, they were all aligned with other stars. So that's how we found one, which was actually pretty incredible. It's a pretty good story.
Yeah, which goes all the way back to the whole idea of kind of tracing back local folklore. I mean, because that's where these type of the clues are definitely going to be. It is very Indiana Jones, If you know enough about that type of stuff, you can put a few clues together and maybe find things that are obvious that everybody else is missing. And I think that's an absolute fact. It's just a matter of taking the time to do it and kind of doing the analysis yourself. And who knows? Again, these people finding that Tudor palace is absolutely wild.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some pretty crazy finds, and it's not really talked about here in North America. And I don't know why. Like, for instance, you have it was called, this is in Illinois, and they have a pyramid complex. I don't know if anybody knows that, but it's called, let's see if I can pronounce it right. Let's see, Cahokia. Cahokia is got mounds. But they're not made of stone. They're made of mounds. So there's like earth and clay. And they believe that they brought this clay from a different area, and they by basket full of, and it looks like a step pyramid, kind of almost like in South American Mesopotamia. They also have I don't know if anybody heard about this one, but it's a temple. It's an Egyptian temple down in Tennessee, and they have this. It's like it's pretty crazy. The picture they have, an old picture they have, it's like you can tell it looks like a temple. It was eroded, pretty much. But you hear about these stories of all this stuff, like even in, that ancient Egyptians could have been here in America a long time ago, like the whole, the one they found in the Grand Canyon. And not only the one guy, but I ran across this video where this old man and this old lady, they talk about it was probably hanging down off of a cliff somewhere on the, in the area, because I guess they're just like how the show was talking. They go around looking for different stuff. I guess they were doing it for their whole life, but they were living in Arizona, and they were going through the Grand Canyon, and he even claimed that there was this hanging off this cliff probably about 20 feet down. Some of those places are like sheer cliff, but it was a cave down system in there. And so it was almost kind of like the other story where the guy found one. His was probably like, up the cliff, not as, from the lake or from the river where he was at on the Colorado River. But the two couple were talking about, they brought this other guy down there, an archaeologist or, guy who worked in this museum. And he lowered him down and stuff like that. And he told him to close his eyes. And he brought him right in front of this Egyptian, like, big statue, and he told him open his eyes, and the guy's like, "Where are you at?" And he told him, "It seems like I'm in Egypt," because the other man had been there. But I mean, and then also I've been following this other one, kind of a new story for me anyway. California from the West Coast all the way into like Nevada area, where this guy is talking about a lot of these petroglyphs that people think that they were Native American. They're actually Egyptian, or not Egyptian. They're actually Chinese writing, ancient Chinese writing.
Yeah.
And some of the
Go ahead.
Just real quick. Just some of the petroglyphs. I was looking at them, and he shows examples of some of the writing. I'm talking like old Chinese writing, and some of the stuff that he shows. I mean, they look identical. So I don't know, it's next, and some of them are actually next some Native American, and that's why they think they got it confused, because they had some writing down there, and I don't know who would follow who. The Native Americans probably were here obviously first, but like the Chinese might have wrote something next to it. You know what I mean? Thinking that, but it's a crazy story. It's actually crazy archaeological find for this man and he's been digging for years. But some of the stuff that he's coming out with, I mean, it's pretty incredible. I don't know if anybody else has seen some of that, but go ahead as you were.
Yeah, no. You paused for a second, so I just was going to jump in there. But basically, my quick point was that a lot of that stuff it happens, and so the question becomes, as you just described very smartly, was that stuff brought over from different places, or was there actually a basis, did the Chinese get here, thousands of years ago type stuff like that? That becomes sort of the questioning of this type of thing. And there's people like Scott Wolter. He's one of them, Wolter, if you guys have heard of him. He does a lot of that stuff where he's like, oh yeah, this, that, the other thing. And then all the archaeologists get super mad. They get super big mad because they're like, oh, this guy's a pseudoscientist. There's no basis in fact. But I mean, there's some weird artifacts out there that guys, into and, even personally digging up as far as I've seen. But look, I'm not the arbiter of truth, and I can't say definitively one way or the other, but surely there's going to be some secrets out there that would shock everybody that haven't even been found yet. And that's where my head's at. That's what I want to know, right?
Yeah. And some of the... Excuse me. Okay, so the Egyptian one. There was actually a story from Egypt where there was two brothers that, and see, this is what a lot of them believe, is that they were, these countries like, say, China, or even the Egyptian one. Let's go with the Egyptian first, but like, there was a story from Egypt where two brothers were just gonna go do discovery. They were not trying to like invade and like make, trying to make new ones. But what it was is two brothers, they were for discovery. They wanted to, both head from Egypt, head this way, west. And they were, marking the land, talking about it. One of them obviously looks like they came here to North America, but the other one, and this is what's even stranger, okay? So the one made it to Australia. And Australia has on rock, carved in rock, they have Egyptian hieroglyphs carved in rock. So there was a guy went down there, he was the Egyptologist, And it says that the man's name, the Egyptian, that he, he was a prince of Egypt, but he passed away, and they took his body back to Egypt, right? And that was actually what happened, where it's one of the brothers that they passed away and they brought his body back. But those hieroglyphs in Egypt, or in Australia, there's no denying that those are Egyptian hieroglyphs. I don't know if you ever looked upon that, but that one's incredible too. So, the ones that even here, even like if you look at a lot of the Grand Canyon, a lot of the canyon, the cracks, if you take an aerial view, it looks like cracks, the canyons in the ground, it goes in different directions. But all of them are all named like Egyptian pharaohs and queens and like, their gods and whatnot, like Ra, Temple of Isis. All of that's all through there. Even part of it I think on the northeast side is even they're like, all their names are like Hindu gods. So it's pretty interesting. Why would they, they're allowed to even have that still going on, or even the names and stuff like that for them. I don't know. It's just interesting to me, where, you have all these stories, from these other people that, and this is, we're not talking too far off in the past, at least no more than 200 years or 100, 200 years for some of the discovery we're at. Again, some of these are just like farmers that found some stuff. I know there was a farmer that found, they were like some made of silver or like aluminum, but I can't remember. I think they were also Egyptian, or they were saying that they came from like Israel or something. And these farmers are plowing their fields and pulling this up here. And this was here in the United States. Now I'll give you an example. There was one that was it was in Peru or Bolivia, right? And he was plowing his field, and he found this big bowl. He didn't know what it was. He just kind of like, he just thought it was an older one. So he took it home, and he was using it for like feeding his pigs water and stuff, just like a bowl for. To come to find out, archaeologists, that were going through those, those mountains at the time, they were looking for some stuff, and he ran to this farmer, and what they found was it's called a Poegna Magna bowl. Now inside this big bowl, on the inside of the rims, it was like Sumerian writing, like the squares and everything like that. And they also, deciphered it, and it says, it says two different things, one for male and one for female. It's kind of an interesting thing. I have theories on that itself. But then you have also like weird stuff like Father Crespi. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was, he was down in Ecuador, and he, befriended a lot of the natives there, the locals. They were bringing him stuff that were like crazy. So it's like mixture of Egyptian and Sumerian, where some of this, like they were actually like flattened gold sheets had this weird, crazy writing. That it's not Sumerian or Egyptian, but the pictures that they show, like the man standing there, looks like he's got an Egyptian hat on, where it looks like, I don't know, kind of like the cobra, like looking, where it's on the back. But the one that's Sumerian, obviously, is the one where he looks like the eagle guy, he's standing there and he's holding the pine cone and the hand basket and stuff. That is obviously Sumerian, but that was mind blowing when he brought all that stuff out. You can check out the videos on that on YouTube for, Father Crespi, and they got some crazy stuff, And these are all like, these ain't like archaeologists, these people are just like bringing them stuff, or even like the ones I was talking about, like in the field, they're just plowing, running and stuff, because histories, we don't even know. It's awesome though. I that's what I would like to do. Find something like that, a cave or something would be nice.
Yeah, hell yeah. So let's ask the question, you big weirdo. You have a metal detector and a weird hat, don't you? You totally do.
Oh hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So do you spend time? Do you do this, or are you going to get one?
No, actually, I did have one in Maryland, but it was I was trying to go cheap style, man, and it wasn't working too well. But like, I do want to. I've been looking at some of the nice ones. Like, I don't want to make it too difficult though, because you can adjust those things to any kind of different metals, or even just, I want a wide variety, deep penetrating, at least, not too deep, but Like I said, you can spend some thousands of dollars on those things. Those things are not cheap. Some of the nice ones, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, look at the stuff there. There's some videos online like I've been following, right? And some of these ones that they've it's about treasure hunting is what it's called. But these people are finding. I'm talking some old stuff, man, old stuff, and some of it looks like South America, some of it looks like European, because this is sometimes they don't like to talk, because if you talk, listen to their voice, you know exactly where they're at. So some of the videos that they're doing, you could just hear them breathing, but they're showing you where they're digging this stuff up, like through mud, like little mud caves, or they were metal detecting just like that. Then find pots of gold coins. And the one I was watching for about 20 minutes the other night, oh man, he found but it was like household stuff. Like these people were maybe there was like a war going on like within the locals. But it looked like it was I would say South America, because the gold coins they weren't stamped or nothing. It was just, and it was kind of weird necklaces or like chains or like bracelets and stuff like that. Oh man, it was awesome. But to something like that, yeah, that'd be that would be awesome to find something like that.
Hell yeah.
But I don't know. It would be hard to real quick. It'd be hard for me to say do I take it and melt it down, or do I show somebody the significance of some of this archaeological finds? Instead of just being a grave robber, do you want to share it? You know what I mean? Or do you keep it in like private collections like people have?
Yeah, I'm not melting it down 100%. Absolutely not. Like the historical value is way more than, I mean, we're going to die. We're not going to take it with us. We may as well be able to at least leave some sort of historical record for some of the stuff that is wild out there. On this, this nationalgeographic.com, it says UK treasure hunters are finding a record number of ancient artifacts, but who gets to keep them? Now check this out. Subheadline: nearly all of England's bona fide archaeological discoveries in recent years have been made by amateurs armed with metal detectors. And you think, look, England is small compared to the United States. And so you think that's not all over this damn country? You bet your ass it is. And so it's just a matter of getting out there and finding it, which is wild. But the thing that disturbs me the most is the fact that they're like, well, who gets to keep it? I mean, hey, if it wasn't for my ass out there digging around with spent $1,000 on the metal detector or whatever you said there, nobody finds it, right? So why couldn't it be mine? This becomes really problematic. I don't know if you saw the story recently with shout out Robert over on Rockfin. New witnesses share what they saw in the woods during a secretive FBI hunt for Civil War gold. Did you hear that one?
Yeah. I did find that one. That one was that's another one. Because if you, like I said, if you go back east and where all that war was at, bro, you can hide stuff everywhere in there. I'm talking the woods are thick. I mean, it's rolling hills, not really too big of mountains, like here compared to like here on the western coast here in Colorado. But oh yeah, I mean, that's another one. That stuff would be something that you would find. There's actually another one here that there was a guy. He was a storyteller and stuff like that, and he was he went through here through all of the states that have the Rocky Mountains in it, from Montana all the way down to the end of Mexico, right, where we come into New Mexico and all that. Right, so he put he would put treasures all the way different areas, and he said he had in 4 different states, and they had these treasure things a little chest that he had, different gold bars, metal, and main silver and stuff like that, just bullion. One guy found one, so that one's gone. But there's another one I'm actually looking into, because me and Michelle's going to be going on a vacation here. We're heading south, but it's called Find the Morgan. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. It's called Find the Morgan, and it's a treasure chest. And it looks like, for me, I don't know if it's along a lake or along the ocean coastline. But he showed the picture, and he's like, he hadn't been there for 4 years. And sure enough, he went around there, and there's the chest still sitting there. So it's still out there. It's just up to you if you want to, And I got the link for it, where you can find the story and like the clues that they leave, because that's just like the old man who did. And you can you go treasure hunt. You go run around through these mountains and find a clue. One guy, like I did say, he did find I think one of the bigger chests that were out there, but there's some smaller ones still out there. And I mean, it's like I said, it's gold bullion, coins, little bars, stuff like that. It's not like watches or chains or nothing like that. It's real bullion.
Oh yeah, real actual gold, like the good old days. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I've I heard of that a long time. He's been doing this for years, right? Like a decade or so, and they're still searching for these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He still has it. He still has it out there. So like again, he kind of hit me up on Facebook, like on Messenger, because I was on there and I wanted to ask questions, but I did ask a question. He hit me up on Messenger, and I was like, "Is there any link or anything like a book?" So there is a link, and that's what he sent me. I haven't took a chance to take a gander at it, but here in a couple of days, I'm going to be looking at it and really digging into it, see if I can find any kind of clues in the areas where I'm going to be.
Nice.
But yeah, like you're talking like these gold, these people that have been finding even those ships with all that bullion, But like another interesting one, I'm going to go a different too was, and this wasn't too far long ago. Was they were looking for same thing along coastal lines, and we're trying to find, sunken ships or whatever. But then that that company, they found that in the Baltic Sea anomaly. You remember that? And it looks like a spaceship, like it's round, it's disc shape, it's thick. It kind of looks stone, but who could be, who knows if it was down there underneath the ocean that long. But it looks like it's skid mark, like even the ocean floor has got a long skid mark where this thing's landed. And find something like that, wow, that's something out of this world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hell yeah, that'd be sweet. And like we're saying, like you're saying, all of this stuff is out there. There's going to be stuff that is out there that will blow people's minds. It just needs to be found. And so just a reminder to touch grass and get your ass out there. And from time to time, keep your head up, keep your head out of your damn phone, and look what's going on around you, because you may see something completely obvious that everybody else is missing. And yeah, for sure, 100%, amazing stuff. Looking forward to you digging into that. And Godspeed, of course. I hope you find something. That would be amazing. What else you got?
With that, I'm gonna post after on try to get off, because I could probably do it now, but like there's actually another one, and this is it was an old man in Russia, and he was like, he does the same thing, kind of, which is looking for stuff, but he found this box inside of this what do they call them, dolmen, right? These dolmens that are in Russia, in the whole Russian area, right? These ones, though, they look like little houses, like Flintstone houses, but they have like a little hole, right, inside these one, and that's where he found this box. And then this box was, it had German writing on the outside, a German picture of like a guy standing sideways, had the German hat on. But inside that box, he finds these skulls, and in these skulls, they don't look like anything from this planet, right? But they're skulls. I don't know if they're a different animal. We couldn't say. They don't look like they're an animal. They look, like I said, and there's two of them, and they look two different shapes, right? They actually haven't got X-rayed. There's the bones on them are, the density's a lot thicker than any like a human bone. They do a comparison next to it, and the facial structures don't even look like. If you was to put skin on this thing, you'd probably trip out on it if you ever seen one of these things. But I'll post that on Discord too. And again, that's the type of stuff you could find. Not only, golds and riches, but who knows what you might even find. Because there's stories of even like that, where, like I talked about that, what they call the wing makers. There was an earthquake over in the desert, like New Mexico area, and they found this cave system. Inside that cave system was where they found like the things from the future. That's the story, the way it goes, right? That was told from Al Bielek, the guy that was saying that he was on, the Eldridge, and jumped off him. His brother went into the future. But these wing makers are from the future. You know, they're like an AI. And they run floating cities and stuff like that. But that's the story where, you know, the earthquake opened up like this time. It was a kind of more like a time capsule. You know, they left all this information. So, I mean, you know, you never know what you could find. There's all kinds of stuff out there. When I go out, anytime I go out hiking, camping, stuff like we're going to be doing, you know, anything that looks strange or old, I always picking it up. Like I got like old stuff from like lakes up the way up in the mountains, like where, you know, they were all old miners or gold miners, you know, and it was like, I got some pretty nice stuff. I mean, it's got a lot of patina on it, but you can tell what it was, like an old Pepsi can or something, like where the top can, you know, it was kind of like, I think you needed not one of those ones where you pull open, you kind of had to pop it open with a can opener and stuff like that. So yeah, I keep a lot of old memorabilia, something like that I find. People just leave it out there and kind of like, I like to take that stuff. You know, it's sitting out there and it's old, but so I mean, I'm talking like, you know, early 1900s. So that's to me, I like that stuff anyway. But you know,
yeah, 100%.
Anybody else into that?
Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I'm into that. I'll bet you many people that listen to the show are into that stuff too, and that's exactly the point of bringing this up. A lot of it's in the zeitgeist right now. I picked up on again the you know, the holy grail of the sunken treasure, and again amateur discoveries happening all the time. But like you said, and like I was saying earlier, nobody's talking about this. Like it is. Again, amateurs sort of driving many of these discoveries in all disciplines, not just archaeology or whatever, just stumbling across something stupidly, you know, like people are actually like looking for these things and spending time, you know, in the amateur capacity and figuring shit out, man. It's good. It's a good thing. And that's why I think it's important to draw attention to this because, hey, just because you didn't spend a ton of money doing whatever you wanted to, or let's say you didn't go to college, let's say you did and you studied something you didn't like, whatever it was, who cares? Get your ass out there and do something you like now, because you don't have to have some fancy degree to go find some amazing shit, because it's definitely out there for sure. Go ahead. What you got?
Actually, there was another video I seen, and it was a man talking about him and his brother-in-law somewhere in, I would say, southeastern Utah, right? And he claimed that they found some Mayan gold out there, you know, because they thought the Mayans that, you know, when they left, you know, escaping, that they came up at least to this area, Aslan, because they call it Aslan, right? That's where they came in, like, hid their gold or whatnot. But if they did, this man, I mean, like when he was talking about it, he was like almost scared to talk about it. But yeah, his claim is that they found it, but they're, you know, looking for a way to get it out of this area because, you know, they want the archaeological find for it. But I believe it could, what it sounds like, it could be like supposedly on government land, you know what I mean? Where these, you know, but if it is on some of this land like that, you know, you gotta, I don't know how they were going to go about it or trying to inform the authorities, but they just want to make sure that they have, you know, they get the claim for it. So that's what I'm saying. For me, if I found something like that, like these men did, you know, just roaming through these caves and stuff, you know, because they're going off of hunches and, you know, stuff like that, or old maps and stuff, and, you know, to find that would be hard for me to kind of like, you know, I understand the historical things for that, but man, if you're sitting there looking at a whole cave full of gold,
yeah, right.
I'm gonna probably take a couple of those things and hide that shit away.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? That's the tantalizing allure of the hidden gold, and then you find it, and you're like, what do I do with this now? How many Mercedes will this buy, or whatever, right? Like that's the wild part. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely the stuff's out there, and there's still the you know, treasure hunting in the heart of the zeitgeist of humanity. That's a fact. I think it'll always be, you know, like what's the thing from Indiana Jones? Belloc tells him, you know, you take this watch, and right now it's worth nothing, but you bury it in the sand for 1,000 years and it becomes priceless. Well, welcome to it. And we're still talking about those things that 35 years later, 40 years later, how old is that movie? But amazing stuff, man. This is why we do this, and this is why we talk about these things, to remind everybody, hey, go look around outside, because there might be some shit very close to you. You have no idea. I'll tell you, look. Amazing stuff, Kelly. Drop that shit in the Discord. I want to check that out myself. Maybe there's some spots out here that we can take a look at. That'd be super sweet.
All right, I'll do that too. And yeah, but you know what though? Maybe I do want those guys, just looking at their phone and staying at home. Be less people looking for my treasure out there.
Exactly. Less competition. But also, you got to think of it the other way. What if you're out there and you like twist your ankle? Maybe somebody comes right behind you because they're looking for it, so that they can help you, save you. It goes both ways.
True, yeah.
It goes both ways. Be careful out there, guys. You're the best, Kelly. Appreciate it very much. Look forward to that stuff. And if you're out here, give me a holler. I'd love to meet you.
All right, brother. All right, man. Have a good one.
Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. That's Kelly in Colorado. You know him, you love him. A good friend for a long time. And if ever there was a first caller we ever had, it's him. And he's been a good friend for literally 6+ years now, just talking about these wild ideas. And I had a hunch that Kelly had a metal detector. I had a hunch. I definitely had a hunch. We're talking to the amateur investigator tonight. Connecting eternal dots is what I'm calling this. But the whole idea is, what are we missing? And again, why are we sitting around waiting for academics to tell us, what the next discovery is going to be? Why don't we go find it ourselves? And it fits into, the discussion we had with Dr. Courtney Brown of Farsight. He was talking about disclosure, the disclosure process, not of just UFOs and that type of thing, but the disclosure process of actual, the acceptance, the full acceptance of remote viewing for society. So that type of stuff is up to everybody. It's up to people. It's up to, UFOs disclosure, not sitting around waiting for the government. It's getting your ass out there and, getting your FLIR or whatever in the sky and trying to find this stuff and document this stuff. Shout out Fred in Arizona. I know you're out there doing that as well. Lots of wild things happening in the world around us, and if we ain't looking for them, we ain't going to find them. That's a fact. James, what do you got on any of that before we go to Ricky on the Discord here?
Yeah, just great call. I'm always glad when Kelly calls when it comes to these just the past, and I mean he's gathered so much information over the years, and I always love hearing from him. I mean, everyone here, but just I don't know. That's something. I think he's definitely done a lot of research into it. And yeah, I don't know if I'm really interested in going out and metal detecting myself or doing going out on adventures myself. But I'm happy to listen to people talk about their own adventures. That's for sure. I think that's all I have though for now.
Right on. Appreciate it. We're going to write you into the story, James, because you're going to be the eyes in the sky, meaning that when we're out there, we're going to need a translation from AI because we don't have a signal. So we're going to call you on the satellite phone. You're going to have to do some sleuthing work for us. So you're definitely part of the team. So hang tight, and we'll call the eyes in the sky. That's definitely going to be in the story anyway, right? When we write remember the hieroglyphics joke, when the lights go out, we're like, well, James, can you read this for us? You're like, yep. I feel a cat. I feel a hawk head. Yep. Maybe not. We'll see.
I feel like a cat. Oh man, it just bit me. There's something in this wall here that's not quite just a hieroglyphic.
Exactly right.
Perfect.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely good stuff. Appreciate it very much. We're going to take a quick break. Hang tight, though. We got Ricky coming up. Just let me go grab one more cold one and we'll wrap this. No hurry, guys. So Kelly, I think Kelly was feeling like he had to hurry. We don't have to hurry. There's not a ton of calls. We got Ricky's up next. And if you guys have takes on this, pop in here. I'm not trying to get out of here. I'm just not trying to do a ton of work. So if you guys have things to say, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If not, we'll take Ricky's call and a little bit more from James, and then we'll wrap this. But we're talking, again, the amateur investigator. And I love the idea. It is, as I described previously, it is, in our hearts. It's one of those things that really, really sticks with us because, there's these things all around us all the time. And how exactly are we going to find them if we're not looking? That becomes really exactly what this is all about. And it's not just archaeology. It's not just anthropology. It's not just paleontology. It's ufology. It's all the stuff that we're always talking about and considering and even dreaming. Who knows? As always, I say that you can talk about wild things, even if it's so detached from reality now, will it be 50 or 100 years from now? And if we aren't talking about it, we aren't inspiring those minds to create whatever that is. So you want to be part of the show tonight, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. We're talking the amateur investigator, connecting eternal dots and taking your calls as well. I'll be right back. We got Ricky in Missouri. That's the Anything is Possible podcast, and your calls as well. I think he's in Missouri. We'll correct that when we get back. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. More country music. Here you go. Give me the feedback on the country music, guys. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, and Twitch. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. Tonight is country night, because you know why? You should be out in the country searching for buried treasure. We're talking about the amateur investigator connecting eternal dots. Now look, there's treasure everywhere out there, and treasure doesn't have to be monetary value. It could be historical value. It could be even nostalgic value from your youth. Anybody got some of those old Tupperwares from the late 70s, early 80s? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Look, I don't know. I have no idea where this stuff is, of course, but I do know it's all around us, okay? And so this becomes the question of, well, how do we find this stuff? And how do we revive some of these old stories? Because we started with this, again, amateur historians heard tales of a lost Tudor palace. Then, well, they dug it up. They found it. They did some exploring. They got it, did a drone survey and got some LiDAR and, even some funds backing them up, because they sort of just galvanized the idea, which was old folklore from this old English village called, what's it called? It's called Collie Weston. Ever been there? Know anything about it? I don't. But apparently there's a Tudor palace that is buried there, and they found it. And by just really kind of coming together and discussing these ideas and saying, hey, look, my grandparents told me that story too. And suddenly you got to know there's something to it, right? More than one person are saying something, maybe it's just nonsense, but also maybe it's not, which means it takes just a little bit of sniffing to find this stuff sometimes. And look, probably took them 6-8 months, a year, something like this, built their own historical society, and now they've got an archaeological find that is resonating not just in England, but also worldwide, because the Tudors, again, Henry VIII connections are worldwide famous. So infamous, let's say. But I don't know. What do you know? And also, I want feedback on the country music, guys. Thumbs up or thumbs down? What say you, James? How you doing, buddy? Welcome back to
well, I'm not really a country music listener, so I'm probably not one to judge. But yeah, I do like to look at pictures of older things. Doesn't even matter how much older. Just then maybe I like the stories behind them. There are shows that kind of do that. They'll talk about like objects that have been found, antiques or whatever, or just objects that people find and or buy, or that are passed down through families, and then they'll there's different shows that do it. They'll talk about the history of that item and the people associated with it. And I love those kinds of shows, because you get more than just looking at the item. You get everything that maybe it went through, and that the people that were connected to it went through in some cases.
Yeah. Pawn Stars made an entire empire out of that, doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Kind of just taking these old historical artifacts and then talking about the history and everything. It's just, it's fascinating as hell. And one little item can have just an unbelievable story behind it, which is fantastic. Yeah. By the way, I'm not a country fan either, but I thought it'd be funny. And the wild part, the reason I have two country songs tonight is because they were both so good I couldn't choose one. I had to do them both. We got was it Trace Adkins style, and we got the Dolly Parton style. They were both so good. I was like, okay, we got to roll with both of these. Anyway, 702-957-1037, talking about the amateur investigator connecting the eternal dots. Which one of you weirdos have the old man hat and the actual metal detector? I'm looking at all of you out there. Let's go to Ricky in it's Missouri, right? Ricky, Anything is Possible podcast. You're on Troubled Minds. How you doing, brother? Go right ahead.
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Love that accent, man. You always get me with that. You sound great. Before you talk about this stuff, and I saw you mentioned Scott Wolter in the chat there, so I'll ask you about that as well. But regarding the country music, you got a take on that? Is it convincing? Is it terrible? What's your take on the music?
Oh, it's not bad. I listen to everything. That's Well, one of the things I'm blessed with, I guess, being right around this, and this being from this area that I am, around Memphis and Mississippi, and where it's a melting pot of music down here, to put in the blues and country and rock, and so I listen to everything. So it's cool. It's different hearing the AI, trying to make it sound, like them, but it's cool.
Yeah, cool. I thought the same thing too. That's like I said, they were both so good, both so convincing to me. A non-country connoisseur guy, yeah. Anyway, we don't have to stay on that. But yeah, I'm glad you think so. But back to whatever this is. So are you a weirdo with a metal detector and the old man hat? You don't have to tackle that first. But what do you got regarding any of this? Go right ahead, sir.
I had one of them big old man hats. I had one. There's a site that go to the racetracks and stuff. They'll set up. And it's called a big ass hat. It's a straw hat, but it's just monstrous. And I bought one. It was hotter than hell one day, and I bought one, and it was so wide. It's wider than it's covered my shoulders and all the way halfway down my arms with the shade. It was nice, and I took it to my dad because my dad likes wearing them old man hats.
Hell yeah,
cutting grass. So, so I was like, I'm done with it now, Dad. You can have it.
God bless him. Amazing stuff. Yeah. Regarding the rest of this, what do you got with the amateur investigator here? Do you think this is the future?
I mean, it's like you said it's most most things are found from amateurs, throughout history. A farmer digs in his land and he finds, Göbekli Tepe. I think it was a farmer. It was a farmer. Found Göbekli Tepe. And stuff like that. Or a guy's renovating his house in, I think, Turkey, and found an underground city. It's just that's where it's going to be at, because I guess one, like, money wise, taking actually have somebody go around and like searching and looking. It does cost money and time, but it's I believe that's always going to be the way that people find stuff, even more and more now. How many people are actually going to turn it in, though, is another thing. Is because like, what was their names? The Curse of Oak Island guys.
Yeah. They've done like 11 seasons of finding jack shit, but the legend persists, right?
That coin, though, man, that coin right there and that piece of lead is important. But
the coin.
I watch all the episodes. I won't lie, but it does get like the announcer is the best part. He was like, a coin here on slot 5 from France. Like, exactly. He does it so it makes me laugh every time. But but
totally.
I know they found a shipwreck years ago, and because one of the shipwrecks they were going to get all the stuff off of it, but because one of the anchors was from, I forgot, I think from France or somewhere. I don't remember exactly the story. They shut them down. And like, I know last I heard, they were still like in a big lawsuit, and like they had millions of dollars tied up in this, between the boat and this one guy that he partnered with, like, went under, like lost his business, lost everything because the government shut them down, letting them get the items and stuff like that, and saying, well, they were taking over the dig because they found one item that went to France or something like that for a certain country. One item went to a certain country, so they shut them down on all the items. And the guy was like, he had bought a huge, like, multi-million-dollar boat and everything else, and he lost everything. Like, he lost his business, he lost everything because of it. And that's the sad things on things. It's I know they've said on the Curse of Oak Island, like, they're not even sure they could even keep everything. Like, if they actually dig down and finally find something, and they find a big treasure hoard, if it's certain things, they might not even be able to keep it because the Canadian government might seize it all.
Exactly. Which is
crazy expensive risk.
Yeah,
for them digging and doing all that stuff for sure.
Yeah, if you go back to the first season, remember they were like, well, I'm not sure it's in the budget. We're only going to dig this one hole, not like 3 holes because it's going to cost too much. I mean, now they're making surely a grip on 11 seasons of the show, but I mean they've dug up that entire island basically, and it's like, okay, so what's there, boyos? You're killing me here. Derek says in the chat, Derek's like, my Oak Island hack is to just watch the first and the last episode of every season, and they'll break it all down for you. And real quick
That's
on
true,
this,
though.
yeah, it's true. UK treasure hunters are finding a record number of ancient artifacts, which we talked about earlier. But who gets to keep them becomes the problem, right? So if you're out there and you find some like amazing historic thing that might even be worth a ton of money, is seriously the government going to swoop in and steal the shit from you? Probably.
It's a good possibility.
Probably, yeah.
It's like, do you tell anybody, or you just go on the market and go make your, you make your millions on black market, or do you actually try to do the right thing and turn it in? It's a sad situation, and then, already the museums and stuff got items stockpiled for days for stuff that, they'll never see the daylight. Because they just don't have the room to put all the, all the stuff that they have. Just one of them puzzling things there, for sure. I mean, what would you do? You got a life-changing item here. It could be change history on the item, or it could change your personal life when you go sell it on the black market. Which one do you choose?
Yeah. Or go make your millions some other way, and then like Hobby Lobby, just go buy looted artifacts from the Middle East from ISIS. Hey, there's lots of ways to get this shit, guys. There's lots of ways to get this shit. Here's another wild one too regarding this. So this is again from the Robert over on Rockfin. So new witnesses share what they saw in the woods during a secretive FBI hunt for Civil War gold. And the long story short on this is that there was these treasure hunters that tracked down this missing Civil War gold from the Confederacy. It's supposed to be on a train, something or other. Then they hid it in some place, and they, again, very treasure hunter style, tracked the trail to this particular spot, and they were trying to get permission from the government to dig and showing them their evidence. And then the FBI comes in, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, cool. We got to check it out for you. So let us. You got to let us in there for like 3 days." And then they block them off. And then when they let him in, there's nothing there, and the FBI is like, "Yeah, there's nothing there." but if there was, they would have snatched the shit out of it, right? They wouldn't have given it to him. Which is again, so now they're suing the government. I mean, there's a whole long story to this. It is absolutely insane. But this becomes the true question, right? When you find this stuff, as Matzel said in the chat as well. That belongs in a museum, right? Like a Indiana Jones, right? I mean, so which is it? The question becomes: this is life-changing money. You spent like who knows how much money and time to find it, and then the government's going to swoop in and take it from you. It sounds like the worst type of taxation ever. But what the hell do I know? Don't get me started on taxes, right?
Yeah, really. I mean, there's some of them guys. I know that one guy. They get that Civil War gold show. It's kind of a spinoff of Oak Island. They use, to say I'm trying to get the same guys to back them and stuff, but like he dedicated like 15 of the years of his life to go around and like gather all the information and find all the stuff. And like, yeah, if you spent 15 years of your life to figure out all the clues, and then like as soon as you got to the spot, and like, yeah, the FBI comes in and steals it, and it's got to be heartbreaking. And
yeah, they're pissed. And they're trying to sue the government.
Absolute, yeah, absolutely. And he deserves to be pissed. I would.
Yeah, hell yeah. And how do you sue the government? You can't sue the government. They're like, nah, invalid. We own the law, so fuck off. Get lost, kid.
Thanks you can, but you're just going to spend a lot of money.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And they'll just print more and, own you with payroll lawyers.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, nice job. High five. Sorry. Thanks for the gold, chump. Call us when you find another stash. It's so crazy.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, put it on TV for us so we know where to go.
Exactly. So silly. Regarding you and so the rest of this, what else you got regarding this? So you brought up Scott Wolter earlier. You said that you do have the weird old man hat. Do you have a metal detector? What do you got? Go right ahead with whatever you got here.
No, I don't have no metal detector. I wanted to get one before. I just haven't took the time or splurged on the money, I guess, But I mean, really, if you had one, you could find stuff all over the place, for sure. Like if you just went camping or something like that, it'd be stuff everywhere. Um, but, but yeah, Scott Walter, I liked watching his America Unearthed shows. I watched all them shows for years and stuff. But they were pretty interesting. I liked his, because he was, he was basing all his off the, off the rocks and stuff, and that's the geology of it. Kind of like Dr. Robert Schoch. It was based off the geology. It ain't like, hey, I'm believe this because of, such and such told me or whatever. He's, they're trying to use actual facts and believe, showing stuff. So that's always kind of neat.
Yeah, America Unearthed. This was, as you guys haven't seen this, I saw a bunch of this as well. December 21st, 2012 was when this actually debuted. Wasn't that the end of the world when this debuted?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. So it was hosted by Minnesota-based geologist Scott Walter, we're talking about, who investigates mysteries and artifacts believed to reveal an alternative history of the North American continent before the United States. Which, again, I'm open to the ideas, and he does take a lot of liberties, but I mean, you're making a TV show. So,
they all do.
So yeah, they all do. Exactly. They all just like the Oak Island 11 seasons of finding that gold coin back in season 2. Hey, come on now. You got to be able to tell a good story to keep getting people to watch. So that's what it's all about. But I mean, it does make me wonder though. So let's say if you took a representation of me, sort of like the zeitgeist representation of me, and threw it out there to, people who didn't know me, they'd be like, this guy's insane. This guy's fucking nuts, right? But I'm not really. I'm just like, well, I'm open to these ideas, and I don't believe all this stuff, but let's consider them. Let's talk about them. That doesn't mean I'm nuts. But that becomes part of the problem, right? Is that he gets a lot of hate from people that are like, oh no, your analysis is terrible. I mean, yeah, but it's a TV. I mean, come on, guys, it's a TV show, for crying out loud. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
for
just
sure.
saying. Yeah. Anyway,
and you can for anybody interested, you can go on YouTube, and actually, like, most of the seasons are on there already. I know the first couple are on there on YouTube, on the history. You can just look it up, and like the full show is on there. So, I've gone back and watched them through there before. I know Fred was saying something about the Blind Frog Ranch. I watched that show too.
Yeah, what the hell is that? I've never seen it.
Blind Frog Ranch is they found this inside this cave, and they actually dug it. Dived into the water and went in this cave, and they found this big old crate, and they think it's like Aztec gold is what they think is in there. But they found this big old crate, and you can see a wooden crate and a bunch of rocks around it. But how in the world this wooden crate got in there, and like it's weird, and like the water and stuff that they had, like a bunch of weird stuff in the water. So like a lot of the frogs didn't have no eyes, and was hopping up on the shore. That's why they call it Blind Frog Ranch. And
going a little bit.
But there's
Alex
a lot of
Jones
people trying to come in there and like get their stuff, and it's pretty interesting. It's kind of it's not as it's not as like, it's right beside Skinwalker Ranch. Like Skinwalker Ranch is kind of southwest of it, I think it is. And but of course, like you said, they're shooting rockets every time and digging holes, and but he's actually found something and trying to get it out, but every time he tries to get somewhere, something happens. So yeah, Fred just said something about being dated back 500 years. So it's pretty neat. I like I said, I like watching all them shows. Like I said, I don't believe them all those shows, but I like watching them. And the Skinwalker Ranch has always interested me, just because, and not just because the shows. Like if you look at, like, Bigelow was there for all them years, and why won't they release all the information he had collected? That's the part that's always puzzled me. Like, why don't we just, if there's nothing there, it's just a bunch of BS, why don't you just go, okay, here's the documented files, unclassified, and say, okay, it's bull.
Yeah, because they've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar, like meaning that one of the commercials are like, oh, look at that UFO flying by at 3,700 miles an hour, and then like they show it, and you can see like the the wings of the fly as it flapping as it flies by. You're like, come on, guys, at least blur that MFR out so we can't see the wings flapping. If you're gonna tell us it's a freaking UFO, stop it. I mean, they've been caught doing some of this stuff, and that's where it's like, come on, seriously. It makes you wonder that if they're just telling a tall tale, like Oak Island, 9.5 seasons ago, they found a Spanish coin. Wow, wow. But it spawned 11 seasons of a show. And by the way, I agree with you. That narrator of Ancient Aliens and the guy that does Oak Island, that whoever the narrator guy is, he needs a raise. He doesn't make enough money because he's basically building all of those shows. It's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
He does all those shows, and he is like, oh yeah, Ancient Aliens too. He just that's awesome. Hey, dude, the way he talks on there, it just makes me laugh every time. It really does when he pops up.
Yeah,
on any little tiny thing,
Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, indeed, 100%.
Aliens, quotation marks.
Exactly. What do you got regarding any of the rest of this? So we did Scott Wolter, we did the weird hat and the stuff. Are you into any like local folklore? Have you heard anything around your neck of the woods? I mean, you live in a very interesting part of we were talking Civil War type stuff. You kind of live in that sort of central junction where a lot of the fighting went on. Any local folklore where it's kind of interesting?
There's lots of stuff like right down probably about an hour from me. You got Shiloh, where there's a huge battle. And then right there at Shiloh, there's actual ancient Native American burial mounds right there too. So, which is real, pretty neat. I've walked around them before, and there's I don't know if I'm sensitive to it or not, but it is a kind of an energy and kind of, weirdness about them. And then right south of me, there's a little town south of me. There's some more actually, burial mounds, native, probably from the Mississippians, I think. There's burial mounds all around near me. I've been trying to travel and check them out and stuff like that, and just see them because a lot of them got destroyed because of dirt works or just farmers and all kinds of stuff, and just they just got plowed. But a few of them got saved, for sure. But
yeah. That's the unfortunate part is that a lot of this stuff is getting they protect some of it, but some of it gets destroyed. And it does make you wonder what we don't know. Like go back to sort of Poltergeist from 1982 or whatever that was, where they built the housing, the new housing structures on a Indian burial ground. So I mean, this is the type of stuff that we're doing all the time, and burying things deeper and deeper and deeper with modern construction and things like this. And it's wild that we're sort of packed into these sort of city centers, but I mean, there's so much empty space out there in the States too. I mean, you go to a state like Tennessee, and my goodness, when I drove through there, man, we were coming through in the fall, and it was unbelievably beautiful. It was like apparently the time when everything turns red and gold and orange, and it was just like, holy crap, why would everybody not want to live here? It's insane. And yeah, here I am not living there, but maybe I'm moving there because who knows, right? I mean, that time it was like late September or something like that. It is gorgeous out there, man. It is gorgeous.
It is.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, there's a lot, a lot of ancient sites, we've buried under and for progress, for water under the rivers and stuff like that. They've put them under. It makes you think like how many places are actually out there that we could sites that we've covered up. Like here in Memphis, like years ago, just a thought on it. They were doing a bunch of work downtown Memphis one time, and one of the places I used to work, they had an area. One of the locations they had a dumping area, and you just come in there, and if you had dirt, you just dumped it, and as long as it didn't have a bunch of garbage in it. That's like pure trash. You could dump it right there, and they just push it off in this lake. And they were dumping for weeks out there. And one day, like the last couple loads, the foreman went out there, and he went out there, and he found hundreds of little bottles from the 1800s and all kinds of stuff. He said he got it all at home now, and and old cobblestone stones, from the walking down that they used to walk down into the for the roads and going down to the river and all kinds of stuff. He said he found thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff in the last 2 loads. He said, how much did we throw away? And it makes me wonder, like, a lot of times, people are just, for progress, and you were digging up spaces. You're not paying attention that there's something there. You're just digging, especially you got one of the big excavators or something. You just, going to town and you're getting your job done. And so much stuff is probably destroyed over the years from just, like I said, just from progress. It's sad to even think about it, how much history was destroyed, and not to mention wars and how much history's been destroyed because of petty differences and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the Hobby Lobby stuff. Like it's just grotesque seeing those videos of ISIS just destroy those like 1,000-year-old sculptures and things. You're like, what in the world? But then there's a black market that those bastards were creating that the Hobby Lobby owners were buying. Like what are you kidding me? Here we go, man. Like the world is just a crazy place. There's some weird stuff too regarding that, like sort of this worldwide connection of like entities you would never consider were, in league with each other. And I was reading into the Vegas history a little bit with Bugsy Siegel and, the Flamingo Hotel. It turns out that the Nazis apparently were making deals with the mafia out here because they were trying to find new technology with weaponry and stuff. And they supposedly had some sort of like sticky bomb that was quiet and didn't make a lot of smoke or something. So like Bugsy Siegel supposedly met with the Nazis with like Goering and like some of them like were ridiculous names that like are world famous. I mean, just some of the wild connections that you would never consider, like ISIS and the owner of Hobby Lobby, but selling things and buying things from each other. It's absolutely absurd.
Well, if you look back and on the Nazi side, I actually did a podcast on it, I'll be honest, but I did a little touched up link of it, but there's a lot of companies that you would go, was involved with like with the Nazis and stuff like that. Like Henry Ford was taking care of the Nazis. Standard Oil was taking care of the Nazis. Like Henry Ford didn't even want to build nothing and give nothing to the until he had to, for the Allies. He didn't want to support the Allies.
Yeah. And another one of the Nazis, the Vatican was actually allowing refugees from the escaped Nazis to come into the Vatican. I mean, there's a whole lot of just wild, twisted shit where you're like, wait, really? How come we didn't learn this in history class? Right?
There's a deep rabbit hole, and there's a lot of stuff they don't want us to know for sure. I mean, it's out there. You can, if you dig, it's out there. There's so much. It was in the list. If you can go on, you can go online and look it up, like who was supporting. And there's a laundry list of companies that everybody uses. Of course, there's some German ones, but there was lots of American companies that was supporting, and of course, lots of banks and stuff like that was supporting both sides. And it's just a money making scheme. When of course, was war is always the number one. You help make money destroying the area, and then you make money rebuilding the area. And it's a sad situation when, if you really look at it, people get paid and get, taken care of. And we like right now, I think we went on the Middle East, so we went over there and bombed the, crap out of Iraq. And then we sent millions of dollars back in, early 2000s, and especially, Iraqi freedom, back in, early 90s, they spent all that money over there, and then they turn around and we spent all that money blowing them up, and we spent all kinds of money over there to help them rebuild, and it's just a money making scheme. That's it. Just on the largest level there is.
Yeah, one of the memes I see going around Twitter, and it's the most hilarious, like sadly hilarious things ever, is it's like, next time you feel bad about yourself, recognize that the United States government spent $10 trillion in 20 years replacing the Taliban with the Taliban. It is true. It's true. It's absolutely nuts. But welcome to the wild world.
And we
live in.
trained them. That's the bad thing. We trained them.
Yeah.
And then and a few years ago, they actually came out and were like, well, we're sending arms to the Taliban. He said, well, that's the good Taliban, or the good ISIS, and that's not the bad ISIS. We're helping. Like, do what? There's a good and bad.
Exactly.
It just makes my conspiracy critical thinking mind go BS level, just shoot off the roof. Like, this is just all a bunch of crap.
In 1989, they were the Mujahideen. Now, God knows, because there's so many splintered factions, and like you said, good ones and bad ones, and these ones and those ones, and dear God, like, how do we quantify all that? But in the end, well, congratulations. Here's all the money, all our gear, and you can have it all back. Like, it just doesn't make any damn sense. Welcome to this stupidness of government and everything else. Yeah, wild stuff. Do me a favor. I'm going to put it on my bucket list here. Can you join me in the endeavor and maybe get yourself a super sweet metal detector, and maybe go spend some time up in those trails in Tennessee? Because you bet your bippy, my friend, there's some stuff out there. I'm gonna see if I can find some stuff in Vegas as well.
For sure, like you said, there's if they're finding stuff, of course, Europe was a lot of older, but there's been people over here for thousands and thousands of years too. So it's going to be amazing if you actually really start looking. And and then of course, rain and water, and it uncovers all kinds of stuff, or like rivers get down. I like to find one. I like to get one. If I find a good deal on one, I like my deals. I don't like paying full price.
Same here. There you go. We'll send it out to the fam. If you guys find a sweet deal on a sweet metal detector, come drop it in the Discord and come share it with the rest of us.
Facebook Marketplace is the devil, but send it to me.
Yes, I do. We're all in the market for an old man hat and a metal detector. Treasure hunters galore. You're the best, Ricky. Appreciate you very much. What else you got for us tonight?
My mind was all over the place. My mind, I've got a slight case of ADD, so everybody kept on coming there and commenting on all the calls. It was really good tonight, and just everything is. It's just it's a good topic, and really, and because like I said, the amateurs are always the ones that's going to be finding stuff, and then and at the end of the day is, would you turn it in or not? That's the key. I don't know, because you see so many times people get their stuff taken from them, and it's kind of hard. Or even another story, like the guy came on Joe Rogan, the guy from up Alaska with all them bones. I don't know if you heard about that. He has
no, I haven't heard this.
He's been washing thousands of bones and stuff from great mammoths and stuff like that, and saber-toothed tigers and all kinds of stuff up there. And he's just in this little spot, and he's washing all these big bones off. He sent us a bunch to the Smithsonian years ago to get them checked, and they kept them and threw them in the Hudson River and wouldn't give them back. Well, on the Joe Rogan, he actually said it, and said where he was at, and people started going down there and started diving and found them bones, what he said, where they was at in the Hudson River with the Smithsonian, and threw it off of there. Yes.
So it was legit. And so that kind of traces back to some of those weird Smithsonian stories where they're like, oh, they found this old old newspaper story about like an Egyptian tomb down in the Grand Canyon or whatever. I'm not saying it's real. I'm just saying that, so if the Smithsonian is doing shenanigans then, why would they not be doing shenanigans then? That's kind of my point.
Right.
It makes me raise an eyebrow or two. I only got two.
It's like the government, when they tell you, like, well, we lied to you about like the Tompkins Bay incident. They lied to us about this incident. But believe us now. Don't worry. That was the old government. This is not the new government. Don't worry. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like you can look him up. He's got a whole warehouse full of just ancient bones and tusks, and he's finding more and more. And he's just going to keep on finding them until he can't until he goes away. I guess he's in like his 60s. He got his family doing his stuff, but it's pretty neat to see. They're and kind of why all of them died really fast, really quick right there. It makes you when them Randall Carlson type of thought processes on there. Why everything. Maybe younger dryers or something like that. I know they were commenting and kind of suggesting that, like on the podcast, on the Joe Rogan podcast. Maybe the younger dryers was the reason for all of them dying that quick and very fast. But it's and there's so much interesting stuff out there if you just look around and dig just a little bit.
Amen. And keep dreaming, keep digging, keep thinking. If you guys see a sweet deal on a metal detector, it seems like we're all in on this. But
yeah, send them my way. I'll
same here. Same here. I'll grab one too. Daryl's saying you can get him his first cheap is $10 to $15. Fred said he spent $180 on his. So apparently we can get some stuff for not breaking the bank. So that's super sweet. Ricky, you were the man. I appreciate you very much. Anything is possible is the name of his podcast. Search it AIP. Just with the .a.i.p. Ricky, you'll find him. You okay to use your last name's there, but I don't like to use people's last names because people are weird and they come find you. But yeah. So you tell me, we use your last name or no? Search Ricky AIP.
Yeah. That'll be fine.
You don't have to. Ricky, AIP, Anything is Possible is the name of his podcast. He's got a radio show as well. He's here with us on the network, doing good work. And again, thinking about many of the things we talk about and talking about them in his own take. And again, he lives out there in Tennessee. I love hearing you're driving around doing this, doing that, and kind of just spending time out there in the wild, because that is a fascinating part of the American historical record. You're right there. There's a famous trail up there. What is it called? With it wasn't Lewis and Clark. Who was up there? There's like a guy that got shot or stabbed up there or something. You know what I'm talking about up there in Tennessee?
I mean,
there's probably a lot.
I'm trying to think.
That's fine. I'll dig it up.
Of course, you got Davy Crockett, from Tennessee and all that, and
I do know Davy Crockett said, what do you say? Something to the effect of, to hell with this, I'm going to Texas or something like that. Davy.
Yeah, and then he went down to Alamo and got killed down there.
Yeah, whatever. But yes, I don't know. Anyway, so a lot of American history there, and again, it is right smack dab in the middle of that Civil War stuff. It's again horrific. I hate to say the word Civil War because it's bubbling up again, and people are saying these stupid things. But yeah, I'll see if I can find that trail.
I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think most people have the sense to see that the problem is we have social media, and the very stupid of the stupider you can see them and put out ideas, and you'll see like quotation mark protests. But if you actually, and then you're like, well, they're protesting out here. There's 3 people.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like we had.
They all have
tell you a real quick funny story, and I'll get off this. It'll make you laugh.
You're good.
We had this little store down here. I ain't gonna put the name of the store or whatever, because it was a bunch of silly stuff, little small town kind of stuff. And of course, they got on the Facebook group page, was talking all kinds of crazy stuff. But somebody said they didn't want somebody wearing a certain yoga pants. That's what it was. They didn't want them wearing yoga pants. And so they're like, all right, we're going to protest. And I drove over there, and there was like a Mexican restaurant right next door I always went to. And I look over there, and there's 3 people over there. And one of them is this poor person's, I know it was her husband. One of the people there was her husband, because he just, you could see he just there because he was told to be there. He's standing out there in yoga pants too. And they're all standing there, and they had their little baby in their hand, and they got their little sign protesting, hey, we're wearing yoga pants. I'm like, do y'all have nothing better to do, But like you said, if you looked on Facebook, like it was a great big to do about it. And even on bigger topics, you see there's like only 10 people out there. It's just the ignorant have a voice because of social media, but most of the people that are intelligent and have a brain in their head, at least half of one, a lot of them are quiet. They just don't speak on it. They just stay to themselves, and they stay back, and they sit back. And in a lot of, I do the same thing, especially on social media. I own my own business. I really don't want to put nothing out there where they go, hey, affect my business, So I just sit back and listen and look and read and take in information. But I don't think it's going to happen that way. The media is going to try to push it and say, oh, yes, and they push the hate and they want us to hate each other. They want us to, for whatever reason they can make us try to hate each other, they want to push it. And it's sad that that's the way it is, just to keep division in this country. And I hate that, but
yeah,
I don't see another civil war. It's not going to happen. It's
as much as
we got a bunch of intelligent people out here in this world that know that, and there's a bunch of people that I got no reason. They got no way they're going to be fighting. If they go in there and going to start fighting, a bunch of people are just going to get wiped out because they're not.
That's well said. Yeah, so
they're not capable of doing what need to be done.
Exactly, because they're told what to do, and so they show up to these protests and stuff. Here's the plot twist, Ricky. I'm going to guess what your business is. You sell yoga pants. I'm just kidding.
I teach martial arts actually, but
okay, that's amazing.
Not yoga.
But you didn't have to give it up. It was just a joke. It's just a joke.
I'm proud of that. It's like 30 years of my life I've done, so it's
nice.
It's
nice. So we got the Southern drawl and the martial artists. Are you single, man? I think there might be some. I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for maybe some interested ladies out there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there we go. I actually am. I own my own home. I got my own business. There we go. I'm down here.
There we go. There it is. And he does not own a yoga pants business. So there you go.
No yoga pants. I don't have no yoga pants.
The best, Ricky. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for the call. Thanks for being you. Keep pumping out that amazing stuff. You got lots of great stuff coming out of the old factory there of the AIP, the Anything Is Possible podcast. I appreciate all your
I've got on a groove now. Like every Wednesday at 8:00, it pops. So I got stuff scheduled ahead now, so I'm gonna try to keep on pushing and long as I've said it on my podcast. Like if I help one person with it, it's my time is. It's worth my time, So as long as I help one person bring some kind of light or something to somebody, I've done what I'm supposed to do. So
Amen.
I appreciate the ones that listen, and I appreciate you for having me on the radio show and having me on here for sure. Appreciate you, Mike.
No, you definitely you. So Anything Is Possible is the name of the podcast. Check it out. He's here on the radio station with us. AIP Ricky, search it, you'll find him, or just go to troubledminds.org/friends. Lots of amazing stuff coming out of him as well. And I'm with you. We're in this lockstep in that. Look, if I helped one person in any significant way ever in the years of this journey, and I know that I have, then this journey's been worth it. And that's exactly the point. Let's keep spreading that butterfly effect. It goes out, and hopefully the inspiration tonight is everybody goes out and they find a good deal on a metal detector and an old man's hat. And let's give a positive juju for that. You're the best, Ricky. Appreciate the call.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Go give him a follow. Links in the description down below. troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow Ricky here. Please do that. While you're down there, follow all the rest of the amazing people to make this show go. If you're not on that list, you should be. Like I said, it doesn't take much. Just help us. So spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening. We're not going to tell you to vote for all the rest. You can look if you just share our stuff on social media. Just spread the word via word of mouth. All the rest all that plays. Like I said, this is Big Tent conspiracy. We're not doing this to create in clubs and out clubs. We're doing this to create a corner of the internet that is not trolls and idiots, and where people actually support each other. Because just because success is imminent, and it is, it doesn't mean that we have to have in clubs and out clubs and the success club. Let's all succeed together. That's what this has always been about. Amazing stuff. Thanks for the call, Ricky. Fire stuff. All fire calls tonight. Thank you so much for bailing me out. As you know, I still have a slight headache, so I'm just but it is getting better, and it has been traced down to old man stuff. I have like a crick in my neck here and a sciatic thing down here. So I found out last night what the problem was when I was trying to go back to sleep. So the first night, just for full context, I barely slept at all. So that next day I was a disaster. I went to work and spent all day and was just a wreck, and then I got home and I was even worse. But I took some Excedrin, and so it kind of went away. But I was still exhausted, and so I was like, but when I finally went to bed, the Excedrin had worn off, and I rolled over on one side as I was trying to go to sleep, and then my headache went away. I was like, that's weird. And then I rolled over on my other side and the headache came back. And I was like, what is going on? What is this crap, right? What is this crap? And it's basically so like a crick in my neck and I guess getting old sucks anyway. That's so there you go. So I think we're good, but it's still a little bit of a anyway. I would say 702-957-1037 would be the phone number to call. It is persistent though. If you want to call and leave me a message, nice messages recently. Thank you for people listening and caring about the conversations and all the great feedback. But we're just about to wrap, and I need some rest. But James, anything to add to what Ricky said, or anything else? Any other thoughts on this before we get out of here? Are you have you ordered your old man hat and your metal detector yet?
No, I think I'll leave all that to you all. So, but yeah, just great call from Ricky. I'm actually looking forward to talking with him on my show on Friday night. He's gonna come on to talk about his some of his paranormal experiences. So I'm sure that'll be great. And yeah, I do think I mean, I love what he was talking about the way that the TV shows works. It's so true. Anytime they say they're gonna get to the bottom of something, it's just these days it's just like don't believe them. Just don't believe them because the chances are they're probably not. I mean, I don't know, but yeah. So great topic, and I think if I ever wanted to try to find anything, I'd be looking for underground caves and cities and just underground structures because those have always been really fascinating to me. Like I said, I think a couple nights ago. So, but I go looking for those. I'd be happy to search for those.
Yeah, hell yeah,
But,
hell yeah.
yeah.
While we're on hot takes, what's your yoga pants take, James? You got a business selling those?
I don't have any business doing anything.
Well said. That was funny. That was funny.
But no, to each their own. I mean, whatever is comfortable, and I mean, hey,
there you go.
That's fine.
There you go. Fair enough. A couple quick shout outs before we get out of here. What's up, Jen? I see you there. David on the road. We got YY Cubs Future over there on Rumble as well. Thanks for popping in, guys. Thanks for saying hi. Sonia Zabot is here. What's up, Matt Sal with some funny comments. Leave the yoga pants alone. It's funny. You know what's great about these shows? Like we meander, right? It's kind of like you could start and you could be like, it's going to be all business. We're going to march from the time we start to the time we finish. It's going to be all business about what are we even talking about tonight? The amateur investigator from the time we start to the time we finish, right? Or you could be like, we'll just take our time and we'll get there and we'll meander. And I get some of the comments I get, which is super hilarious. They're like, bro, why are you talking so much? Like, just tell the story. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, bro, the story is the journey. I mean, we're talking about the journey from here to there. Like how this goes. I don't know. Like how do you end up talking about the amateur investigator connecting eternal dots and then end up talking about yoga pants in Tennessee, right? Like you don't do that without a meandering journey. So, I mean, I thought it was hilarious and well, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for being part of this amazing stuff as always, James. Don't forget, so Ricky from the Anything is Possible podcast, give him a follow. Links in the description down below. troubledminds.org/friends. Also follow James while you're down there and everybody else while you're down there. Ricky will be on James's podcast on Friday night. Is that airing? Tell us where to find that and where to find you, James.
That will be live in my server in Discord. At let me see here. It'll be at midnight Eastern, so that's 9 Pacific, I believe. So and then it'll be out it'll be out the next week at some point next week, basically is when it'll be middle of next week or so. Is when it'll be out on all the feeds, and I'll be sending you the file as I always do for the station. So yeah, looking forward to that. And Ricky was saying he could talk all night. I told him, hey, you're welcome to stay on my show as long as you want to. So
take him up, Ricky. Bring a 12-pack and make James stay there for like 4 hours. James, you got beer for Friday night?
No, but I could get some.
Okay, all right, perfect. A party at James's house on Friday night. Oh, by the way, also, so I will also be on Saturday. I'll be on with Jason, the real Jason Barker. Knights of the Storm is the name of his show. There's no official time yet, but I'll let you guys know. So Friday night parties at James's house. Saturday, sometime I will be with the real Jason Barker on Knights of the Storm, talking about all kinds of wild stuff. And so yeah, come hang out with us this weekend as well. And thanks again for being part of this, like I said, and bearing with me like yesterday. Like I said, it was unbearable. If I could have done it, I would have done it. You guys know me, I'm a trooper, but some days are just, yesterday was one of those. This is me troopering through it. By the way, if you want to determine when this happened, about the second hour of the show last night, my headache started really getting bad. So if you see me making like sour lemon faces, that's why. So when I said I had a 20-hour headache, I wasn't even kidding. It started during the show that Monday night. Anyway, you guys are the best. I appreciate it very much, James and Ricky and Kelly and let's see, this is Daryl and who called first? It was James called first. Hey, yeah, full circle. Yeah. Thank you for the calls, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cryptids, immature investigators, all the rest. I appreciate you very much, and thanks for it. Just keep thinking, keep dreaming, and keep looking for inspiration. That's the point of this show. That's the point of all the shows, is that let's support each other and let's keep thinking about inspiration and where to find it. Because I think, again, me being the guy who's always on the lookout for it, because I have to have something to talk about. I feel like I'm working a full-time job and working full-time school because I have homework every night, is when you're looking for inspiration has a way of finding you. And so don't forget that. And yeah, that's that. Anything, James, before I smash the button, we get the hell out of here?
Just thank you for having me on as always. And yeah, looking forward to this weekend, all the shows this weekend. And I will definitely be listening to you on that, on Jason's show, time permitting, if I'm not already recording on my own show. So, and hopefully there'll be a way to watch back to it after and go from there.
Yeah, for sure. Amen. Appreciate that. He's East Coast time, so I don't think he does very late. He's usually 7 a.m. my time, so I don't think we're going to be late. So we're going to be good sometime midday probably. But we'll settle that up with Jason, and I'll announce that on Thursday night. Yeah, amazing stuff. Appreciate you very much. You're the best. Follow James. If you're not following James at this point, you're hurting my feelings. All the rest of those amazing people down in the links in the description, troubledminds.org/friends. That's how you help the show. That's how you help us. That's how we grow together. That's how this is exactly what it's always been, is a conversation between people about amazing things. And that's that. And sometimes we end up talking about yoga pants in Tennessee with 3 protesters. And what the hell does that even mean? Yeah, right? You see? Yep. Okay. Yeah, the headache stuff. Still a little bit, like right here.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. It is terrible. It's terrible. And I don't typically get headaches either. It's yeah. So when it was kind of building, I was like, it'll be gone tomorrow, and the next day was even worse. In any case, thanks again for caring and being part of this, and again, enthusiastic about the conversations, even if they're not perfect. Like, I'm not perfect, you know. My whole shtick is not to be perfect. I think there's a little bit of release, a little bit of freedom, and just being like, fuck it. I am who I am. If I do the best I can, that's going to be good enough. And I think that's probably a good formula to live by. And that's that. So keep dreaming, keep punching, keep thinking about things that may or may not be possible. And don't forget don't forget that I appreciate you very much. As we finish, let's see. I think we got that. We got Jason. We got Ricky's going to be on James's show. We got what else? What did I miss? It always feels like I'm missing something, but that's fine. Follow our friends, troubledminds.org/friends, and that's that. And if you want to help Troubled Minds directly, again, spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening. That we will not tell you who to vote for. That's literally one of the ground rules. If you call into the show, again, reminders. If you're new to the show and you're just joining us, you do not criticize the people that call into the show. It is an electric fence. You get one warning and then you're banned. And all the mods have been instructed to shoot first and ask questions later. This is a no drama corner of the internet, and it does exist, and you can make it exist. It's about manifesting your own reality, and that's that. So thank you. Shout out to all the mods out there for being quick on the trigger for trolls. And regarding the trolls, come back when you're not stupid. How about that? Which is, I don't mean directly stupid. I mean, it's an old joke. Anyway, a throwback to like 2 years ago. It's funny. Is it funny, James?
Oh, it is hilarious.
Okay, there you go. It's an old joke from an incident. Anyway, whatever. There you go. If you want to help Troubled Minds with a few bucks, links are in the description down below. All the rest I appreciate. And as we finish, it goes exactly like this. You guys are hilarious with the chat. Pew pew. A nice shot. Nice shooting over there on Rumble. I saw you. Pew pew. I didn't even see the comment, but you guys nuked it before I saw it. Anyway, as we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Don't forget James and Ricky Friday nights. Saturday, you'll have me and Jason from the real Jason Barker from Knights of the Storm. And you got a packed weekend. If you're not busy, now you're busy. We'll see you then. Thanks again for caring. Thanks for understanding that I'm not always at my best. And you guys have a fantastic night. Michael Strange out.